Chapter 478. I am the dignified president of the Federation, and today I lost beyond recognition, I lost cleanly, I lost to the point where there isn't even a little bit of room to recover. Why would such a man appear? Why is this man so perfect? Even if he is just sitting there, I feel that he is a few levels higher than me. Why is that stalwart figure so outstanding? Every single word pierced deeply into my heart, causing me to feel endless pain. Your Excellency President, we cannot be so passive. Wu Xiangwen, who was at the side, said gravely. How can the entire Federation lower its head in front of an outsider? That is absolutely not allowed. There must be someone who stands out. Felisa shook his head and said powerlessly, Is there a better way? The other party is too strong, there is no need to make unnecessary sacrifices. Your Excellency President, our blue blaze planet has never lost, and there is no precedent of surrendering without a fight. Wu Xiangwen said gravely, his gaze deeply looking at the man who was sitting on the throne. Felisa took a deep breath. Then, which one of you is willing to fight for the Federation? The three martial kings became silent. Space Administration's chief Ji Yang also became silent. Meanwhile, Wu Xiangwen cupped his hands and said, Your Excellency President, please allow this old man to atone for his crimes. It just so happens that I can also take revenge for my disciple. Felisa was very gratified. Only Wu Xiangwen is reliable at the crucial moment, the others don't even dare to, not to mention my own self-defense forces, they are currently trembling in fear. Elder Wu, you are the one who should receive the respect of everyone in Blue Blaze Planet. Felisa said gravely. At such a crucial moment, only the older generation stood out, how worthy of respect. However, it is precisely these people who have always been low profile, the world only knows of the three martial kings, but look at the current situation, the three martial kings are trembling in fear. Wu Xiangwen's expression was grim as he cupped his hands and said, For the Federation. This is such a morale-boosting sentence, causing Felisa to tremble. Isn't everything I am doing for the entire Federation? Felisa, who was originally in low spirits, gradually became confident, his back also straightened up, he immediately raised the hammer in his hand and shouted, For the Federation. All of the soldiers trembled violently, their bodies that were originally trembling in fear calmed down, revealing the imposing manner that a soldier should have. Soon after, they roared, For the Federation. Tens of thousands of people shouted in unison, shaking the heavens. In the face of a powerful enemy, the Federation did not cower. They used their own actions to prove everything. Regardless of whether it was the spectators around them or the people watching the video from all over the world, they all clenched their right fists and placed them on their left chest. For the Federation. For the Federation. For the Federation. A deep and loud sound spread throughout the entire blue ardent star. This was something that had never happened since the founding of the nation. Everyone's blood was ignited at this moment, and they all wished they could join in the battle. Sacrificing his life for the Federation. Reclaim the dignity of the Federation. Annihilate the enemy for the Federation. With the sudden rise of the president's aura, the murderous aura at the scene became much stronger. It could be said that he had gained back some face. Yi Hua looked at everything that was happening in a very natural manner, and he wasn't frightened by the imposing aura that the other party emitted. In actuality, he had seen this kind of scene too many times. There are some vile people among humans, but when it comes to the moment of life and death, they seem to be able to instantly unite together. No matter how strong the enemy is, they will still use all of their strength to protect their home. But I can tell you, if it was someone else they might have a chance, but the one you met is me. Struggling would only bring about greater despair. This was the first time that Qingya and Donghuang Baiji had seen such a scene, and they could feel that the battle blood within their bodies had been ignited, and they really wanted to go down and fight. Donghuang Li's little hands were starting to itch. However, since her daddy didn't say anything, Donghuang Li didn't dare to act recklessly. Shi Tingting was almost stunned by the other party's imposing manner. It turned out that the people of the Federation could be so united. This was the first time she realized it. Wu Xiangwen walked out of the group slowly. His aura was majestic, and his body was emitting dense spiritual energy. He shouted, You dare to fight me? Yi Hua looked at the old man coldly, then waved his hand. Among the several tens of thousands of seven-colored warriors, one actually walked out. A light breeze blew over. It was not very cold, but for some reason some people felt their hearts turn cold. This was absolutely ironic. This was a great humiliation. The other side actually sent a small soldier to fight. What right do they have to humiliate the people of the Federation like this? Wu Xiangwen looked coldly at the rainbow-colored warrior who was walking towards him from the front row. He was the same as the others, not the leader. He wasn't even a general, just a small soldier. He felt that his old face had been slapped by the other party. The other party actually sent a small soldier to humiliate me. The president and the others who were at the back had gloomy expressions on their faces. This kind of action of the other party is a deep look of contempt. Right now we can only rely on Wu Xiangwen. I have to ruthlessly strike at the other party's contempt and let that man know that the entire Federation isn't a place that can be easily provoked. Right now Wu Xiangwen was thinking the same thing as well. His face that was filled with wrinkles was moved, and his aged body slightly leaned forward, giving off the appearance of a ferocious tiger pouncing on its prey. Pull out your weapon. However, the rainbow-colored warrior remained unmoved. He stood straight and tall in his original spot, not moving at all. Swoosh! A red blade appeared in Wu Xiangwen's hand. A strange red flame ignited on the blade, and the temperature of the scene instantly rose by more than 10 degrees. Immediately, a berserk killing intent emerged and a violent gale abruptly arose. Wu Xiangwen's eyes shone with a strong brilliance. Wu Xiangwen, who had never been humiliated before, exploded at this moment. Boundless anger was burning his brain, and his entire chest felt like it was going to explode. I am going to use absolute power to kill this man in front of me. Fate, annihilation, Holy Spirit. Following Wu Xiangwen's shout, a dazzling saber light rushed up. The red flames on the saber's blade turned fiery red. Astral winds swept out in all directions with his feet as the center. Even the sky gradually darkened. Seeing this scene, everyone seemed to see hope. Such a powerful attack will definitely be able to kill a few thousand people. The ones who were the most shocked were the president and the 3 great martial kings beside him. Old Wu is about to break through to the martial king realm. Gao Han muttered, feeling incredulous. Felisa heaved a sigh of relief. As expected of old Wu, he finally released his full strength. Amazing. Ha! Wu Xiangwen shouted angrily, and his entire body was instantly enveloped in red flames like a ball of raging fire. His entire aura reached a peak state. That ball of red flames turned into a huge blade and attacked the rainbow-colored warrior with a scorching aura. The ground was instantly scorched and even the soil was emitting flames. Such a move caused everyone to be dumbfounded. So powerful. Too powerful. Instant kill this group of trash. The Federation is mighty. Chapter 479. Boom. The red flames covered the sky and the earth, instantly enveloping all the 7 colored warriors. The huge spiritual pressure caused the entire ground to tremble and cracks appeared. The air was burning and seething and everyone in the Federation stood up. They stared fixedly at the screen. Elder Wu had actually used a single move to instantly kill tens of thousands of soldiers. Too amazing. This was true strength. Cheers rang out from every corner of Blue Blaze Planet. The warriors of the Federation had used their actions to prove that outsiders like you could only wait to be killed. Under old Wu's attack, turn all of you into dregs. Felisa was also stunned by Wu Xiangwen's strength. This move was simply too ferocious, and it had finally saved the Federation's face. It turned out that the enemy was not as terrifying as they had imagined. It was just a bluff and there was nothing to be afraid of. However, after a while, everyone's joyful smiles froze. He stared at the screen in disbelief. How is this possible? Such a huge fire actually did not engulf those soldiers. The red flames gradually disappeared, and all the 7 colored warriors reappeared on the scene. They didn't feel the slightest bit of discomfort, and there wasn't even a trace of burn on them. He was still standing tall and straight, not moving an inch. Everyone exclaimed that it was impossible. They must have definitely cheated. This was all an illusion. It was all a lie. Even if the warriors at the back were fine, the warrior who was fighting alone would definitely be smashed to pieces. However, when the red flames completely disappeared, everyone on Blue Blaze Planet couldn't accept it. Why was this happening? How could a small soldier have such great strength? He actually grabbed the blade with one hand and was unscathed. That's right, the rainbow-colored warrior's right hand was tightly holding onto the blade in Wu Xiangwen's hand. He didn't even raise his head. It was as if this kind of attack couldn't even make him think of raising his head. Wu Xiangwen stared blankly at his saber and his opponent's helmet. He appeared to be in disbelief and inexplicable fear. He wanted to pull his saber away, but he found that his saber was tightly grasped by him, and he couldn't move at all. Bang! The rainbow warrior drew his saber. The speed at which he drew the sword was so fast that even Wu Xiangwen did not notice it. The blade in the 7 colored warrior's hand sank into Wu Xiangwen's body and pierced through his heart. The scene froze. The rainbow-colored warrior grabbed the blade with his right hand and pierced through their hope with his left. What a simple move. This kind of small fry had defeated the most powerful person in the Federation. At the same time, it had once again crushed everyone's confidence. Blood flowed down the rainbow blade, but Wu Xiangwen stared at the tallest man, as if he wanted to kill him with his eyes. The rainbow-colored warrior casually swung his hand, and Wu Xiangwen's aged body flew out like a cannonball, smashing a huge pit on the ground. With a turn of his body, he walked into the group and sheathed his saber. It was as if nothing had happened. However, looking at the several tens of thousands of rainbow-colored warriors, everyone felt despair. They could not even find the rainbow-colored warrior from before. They were too similar. Was this the strength of a soldier? He had killed the strongest person in the Federation with a single slash. If every single soldier had such strength, how could the Federation resist? There were still two mystical dragons eyeing them covetously. As the president of the Federation, Felisa had yet to react. Everything had happened too quickly. Old Wu had been killed by the other party in an instant. He didn't even have the chance to react. It would be fine if that man did such a thing, but the problem was, it was a soldier who did it. Looking at the rainbow-colored warrior not far away, the president who had a domineering aura just a moment ago felt a deep blow. There was no hope of winning at all. It was my lack of consideration that caused Old Wu to be sacrificed for nothing. The three great martial kings were once again intimidated. They did not dare to have any thoughts of resisting. Jiyang, who was at the side, was also dumbstruck. He was completely unable to accept the truth in front of his eyes. This is too fake. This is completely cheating. Yi Hua slowly stood up and looked down at the common people. Don't make any more pointless struggles, because what you all have seen is only the tip of the iceberg. If there were still any doubts in the past, then no one dared to doubt Yi Hua's words now. Because what he said was the truth, there was no exaggeration at all. This is a demon. Why would such a demon appear? That's right, why is there no justice to deal with this demon? People began to place their hopes on the heavens, hoping that the heavens would send a powerful warrior to save the common people. However, that was impossible. Even if there was, it would only increase unnecessary casualties. What exactly are you trying to do? Felisa shouted out gravely. He was completely unable to calm down and had lost the calm attitude that a president should have. Yi Hua said faintly, admit defeat. The current Yi Hua would not start a massacre, there was no need for that. After all, he was not the kind of person who would willfully kill the innocent. Admit defeat? Felisa muttered. The Federation has never had a president who admitted defeat before. Yi Hua said once again, if you admit defeat, then you will be able to save everyone on this planet, if not. This was the warning from the Supreme Overlord. Felisa understood what Yi Hua meant. If I don't admit defeat, then this army will wantonly massacre on my planet. Why is there still such an inhumane person under the heavens? The heavens are so unfair. President, please think thrice. President, you can't admit defeat. That's right, if we were to admit defeat, we would not have any face left. The three martial kings began speaking after the fact. Although they kept saying that they would not admit defeat, in actuality the meaning behind their words was, quickly admit defeat, we don't have any hope of winning at all. The audience that was watching the video looked at their president, thinking in their hearts that their president had defeated the invaders, but at the same time, their brain's feedback was very real. If we can't win, then we should just be a coward first, then we will just have to find another chance to win. Everyone on the planet was waiting for the president's answer, because the president's answer was related to everyone's life. It is time to make a choice. I admit defeat. 3 words floated out from Felisa's mouth. Although everyone wanted to hear it very much, after hearing it they felt a deep sense of humiliation. However, in front of this kind of absolute strength, what else could they do? Their president had made the wisest choice. He didn't fly into a rage out of humiliation, and used his dignity to exchange for a disaster. And when Felisa said those 3 words, he immediately felt a wave of dizziness. Jiyang, who was at the side, hurriedly held on to his president, and his gaze did not have any trace of contempt. Instead, it was filled with even more admiration. This kind of pressure was not something that an ordinary person could withstand. As the president of the most advanced civilization in the Milky Way galaxy, for him to say those 3 words, it could be seen just how big of a blow he received. Is this the attitude you all have when admitting defeat? Yi Hua asked coldly. You all confidently charged over and wanted to kill my entire family, and you all only said those 3 words. Chapter 480. Felisa looked at Yi Hua, who was in the sky, and seemed to understand what Yi Hua meant. He pushed Ji Yang, who was beside him, away. "Your Excellency President!" Ji Yang shouted out. Felisa muttered, "For the entire cerulean planet, I have no choice but to do this." Right after he finished speaking, Felisa knelt down onto the ground and lowered his noble head. He completely didn't have the posture that he had a moment ago. Seeing that their president knelt down, everyone choked with sobs, and some of the ladies even started crying non-stop. On the plaza of the various main cities as well as in the various cities, voices rang out. "Your Excellency President, good job. Your Excellency President. We still have the strength to fight. Your Excellency President actually knelt down for us, woo-woo." The three martial kings behind Felisa cried out in surprise, "Your Excellency President, you mustn't do this." "You guys go up then." Felisa shouted out angrily. These three martial kings only know how to talk and not how to do it. When the three martial kings heard what the president said, they immediately went silent. "I can't afford to go up, I really can't afford to go up, if I go up I will die." Yi Hua, who was standing in front of the throne, paused for a moment, then said faintly, "My family is only here for a vacation. Since you have admitted defeat sincerely, I naturally won't make things difficult for you." "The hell? This isn't considered ugly? Then what is considered ugly?" Yi Hua expressed that Heaven's imperial city is the real ugly one. However, hearing that Yi Hua didn't plan to pursue the matter, everyone let out a breath of relief. This person isn't that bad after all. Some people even felt that Yi Hua and his family were only here for a vacation, and the president came to snatch it after knowing that the other party had a cosmos artifact. If that's the case, it is the president's fault. Ji Yang immediately helped the president up, meaning that it's fine if I just kneel down, I can't keep kneeling like this. Meanwhile, Yi Hua pulled Shi Tingting out and said faintly, "From now on, Shi Tingting will be my representative." Felisa thought that Yi Hua wanted to snatch away his position as the president, but he didn't expect that Yi Hua would just push out a woman to be his representative. Everyone disperse. After doing everything, Yi Hua didn't have the mood to continue. One of the purposes of this trip had already been achieved. Along with a wave of Yi Hua's hand, the rainbow-colored divine dragon, rainbow-colored warrior, and that majestic throne all turned into smoke and disappeared into the horizon. This move shocked everyone. Were those illusions created by the clouds? How could they be so powerful? Felisa was also a little confused. So they really were all colorful clouds. The three great martial kings were also wondering if this was a good opportunity. After using such a powerful spell, he definitely could not use it a second time. However, he didn't mention it. What if someone else had enough? That would be courting death. He immediately dispelled this terrifying thought. Felisa cupped his hands towards Yi Hua, and all of the soldiers once again stepped onto the warship and disappeared into the sky. There was only one thought in their minds. They were finally able to leave this place alive. How lucky. As soon as the president left, everyone hurriedly left. In the future, if they ran into them, they should scram as far as possible. Who knew how many people would die if they lost their temper? In actuality, even if Yi Hua didn't take the initiative to create trouble, there would always be someone who came to create trouble for him. If Yi Hua didn't take the initiative to create trouble, there would be even more trouble in the future. At the very least, it would be like this in Blue Blaze Star. After all, Yi Hua was here for a vacation, and he didn't want to let trouble get close to him. The family slowly descended. Shi Tingting went back first, her brain had too much information to digest. Dong Huangli and Brett walked into the house, not disturbing Yi Hua. Yi Hua took the opportunity to hug onto the waists of his two wives. Looking at their dazed expressions, he felt that he might be able to have a beautiful life tonight. Upon thinking about how it would look if he were to place Qinya and Donghuang Baiji on the bed together, Yi Hua couldn't hold himself back anymore. "Don't you two want to say anything?" After waiting for a long time, seeing that the two of them still didn't speak, Yi Hua took the initiative to ask. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji could be seen taking a look at each other, then standing at the side they shouted out, "Hubby 666, Hubby 666, Yi Hua laughed bitterly. These two really know how to shout 666. However, what I, the Supreme Overlord, want is not this. Hugging onto the two little century eggs, Yi Hua said lightly, "Don't go out today, the two of you accompany me." Qinya and Donghuang Baiji still don't know what their husband is thinking? He is wholeheartedly thinking of carrying the two of us on the bed and bullying us together. However, I just can't get over the hurdle in my heart. Although I want to satisfy my husband's desire, I am still very opposed to this kind of method. Seeing that the two wives didn't speak anymore, Yi Hua knew that they were still not willing to do that. Sigh, life is so depressing. Yi Hua let out a long sigh. Other emperors all have 3 palaces and 6 courtyards, but look at me, I only have the 2 of you. Can't you just satisfy my small wish? Dong Huang Baiji said tenderly. Yi Hua, give us a bit of time. That's right, don't force us. Qingya said pitifully. She is willing to do anything for her husband, but she is very opposed to this. Then how long do you think we need to wait? Yi Hua asked gravely. It is fine to use violence to press them down, but Yi Hua wants to use virtue to win them over, just like what happened just now. Hubby sob, 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 hubby sob, sob, sob. When the 2 women acted coquettishly together, even Yi Hua was a bit unable to resist. I, the supreme overlord, am able to win against everyone in the world. The only people I cannot afford to offend are my 2 wives. With helplessness, Yi Hua carried his wives and walked into the house. The tour still has to continue. Although the tour still has to continue, the places that only Yi Hua appeared in were originally packed with people, and all of them ran away. Only Dong Huangli's 2 new friends, Fei Bai and Zish Qingyi, did not run away. Sometimes Dong Huangli would even go out with them to play. A week passed by in a blink of an eye. To be honest, I have not even finished touring around Long'an City. This small city is already so big, wouldn't a main city be even bigger? There's also the Imperial City, the center of the entire Cerulean Star. Yi Hua felt that he had to increase his speed and head straight to the Imperial City to take a look. After all, that was the capital of Cerulean Star. Shi Tingting did not follow Yi Hua to the Imperial City, because her main focus was on Long'an City, which was Yi Hua's base. Seeing that his daughter and her new friends were reluctant to part, Yi Hua chuckled lightly. Big brother Fei, big sister Qingyi, you 2 must stay together. Ali still wants to come and drink your wedding wine. Dong Huangli held onto the 2's hands and persuaded earnestly. Zish Qingyi's face slightly reddened, while Fei Bai had an awkward look on his face. Being persuaded by a child, how can I not feel awkward? Big brother Fei, you have to be more proactive, if not, you will not have a wife in the future. Big sister Qingyi, just give big brother Fei a chance. Dong Huangli persuaded. Chapter 481. This is a good thing. This means that Ali cares about others. Yi Hua said faintly. That's true. Looking at little Ali's serious expression, it was really funny. It was as if others would feel sorry for her if they didn't become a couple. Big brother Fei, Ali is truly worried about you. If big sister Qingyi runs away with someone else in the future, you will definitely regret it. Seeing that Fei Bai still didn't take any action, Dong Huangli couldn't help but want to provoke Fei Bai. Needless to say, this provocation was very useful. Fei Bai hugged Zish Qingyi's shoulder. Ali, don't worry. Brother Fei won't disappoint you. Zish Qingyi struggled a little and glared fiercely at Fei Bai. How dare he act like this in front of a child? Sister Qingyi, brother Fei is actually pretty good. Ali congratulates you too. As he spoke, he even cupped his hands together. Zish Qingyi squatted down, then lightly hugged onto Dong Huangli. Although the time that Zish Qingyi spent with Dong Huangli was very short, Zish Qingyi truly liked Dong Huangli. On the surface, Dong Huangli looked like a child, but in actuality she was very sensible. Ali, I will miss you. Dong Huangli consoled Ali, and Ali will miss you too. This time, after going to the Imperial City, the whole family planned to go back and not return to Long'an City. Thus, this could be considered as a farewell. Sir. At this moment, Shi Tingting walked over slowly. She was dressed very beautifully today. Yi Hua nodded his head. In the future, I will leave this place to you. Make use of the resources that you have in your hands to properly develop this place. Sir, I know. I won't let you down. Shi Tingting felt that her husband's family were all good people, and she didn't understand those who were not good at all. At this time, Brett also appeared. She had just gone to pay her respects to her grandfather who had raised her. After leaving this time, it was likely that she would rarely come back. All right, let's go. Yi Hua shouted out faintly, then walked onto the flagship. Dong Huangli, who was being carried by her mother, waved her hand towards Fei Bai and Zish Qingyi. Goodbye, bye, Ali. Everyone watched as the spaceship disappeared from their sight and let out a deep breath. Let go. Zish Qingyi said coldly. Fei Bai instantly cowered and retracted his hand. However, he still smiled and said, Qingyi, I think Ali is right. You'd better go get a room. With a cold snort, Zish Qingyi turned and left. Fei Bai was very depressed. He was still thinking about the number of times he had booked a room. He was really just playing cards and did not do anything. Shi Tingting's eyes were filled with determination. The next time she saw Mr., she would definitely let him see her achievements and make him proud. Sitting inside the flagship version of the luxurious flying ship, Yi Hua leaned onto the soft sofa and enjoyed the massage from the Empress. Yi Hua felt incomparably comfortable. However, at the same time Yi Hua's brows wrinkled. Qingye, who was currently peeling the grape, discovered her husband's expression. There are really very few things that can make her husband frown. Something must have happened. Donghuang Baiji saw it too and she asked hurriedly, "Yihua, what happened?" Yihua did not say anything and listened to Wei Chang's report. After a long while Yihua said gravely, "We will be going back now, the tour will be temporarily suspended." "Yihua, what happened?" Donghuang Baiji asked anxiously. Donghuang Li was also frowning just like her father. Brett, on the other hand, was a little happy. It would be best if he could go back early. He wanted to ask that swindler. "Baiji, the news about Voidless Realm's longevity fruit has been leaked," Yihua said gravely. Donghuang Baiji cried out in shock. She found it hard to believe. "How is this possible? Who leaked the news?" Donghuang Baiji asked hurriedly. The reason why Yihua frowned was because he didn't know who leaked the news about Voidless Realm's longevity fruit. Wei Chang and Zhu Tian weren't able to find out who leaked the news about Voidless Realm's longevity fruit. The enemy hiding in the dark is very cunning. The enemy actually used the move that I originally prepared to deal with them. "Let's talk about it after we return," Yi Hua said coldly, and the few of them instantly disappeared from the interior of the flying ship. This flagship version of the flying ship might have to keep flying until its energy is depleted. Long and City Leisure Bar, bedroom on the second floor. Everyone returned to where they started and there was still a big suitcase on the ground. The clothes inside the suitcase had not been cleaned up yet. "Yihua, I will go back and take a look first," Donghuang Baiji said anxiously. Yihua nodded his head. Qingye followed Donghuang Baiji and went back to help, and even the little fellow Donghuang Li went back to help her mommy. Right now Yihua gathered his 7 deadly sins. One reason was to ask them about the situation, and the other was to welcome Brett back. When Yi Zizi saw Brett, her jaw almost dropped onto the ground and she asked exaggeratedly, "You are Brett?" Brett rolled his eyes at Yi Zizi. This Yi Zizi really didn't change at all, she still likes to make a fuss over nothing. Meanwhile Yi Zizi discovered that Brett also didn't change, he had always been this cool. "Brett, why did your hair become white, the color of your eyeballs also changed, and more importantly, why did you become shorter? Even your breasts are gone, ha ha ha." Yi Zizi laughed until she was rolling on the ground. Finally she seized the opportunity to tease Brett. "This Brett, in the past he was so sexy, everything was bigger than me. Look at now, everything is smaller than me, how can Yi Zizi not laugh until the sky is rolling on the ground?" Brett ignored Yi Zizi's ridicule. "She is just a child, I don't need to lower myself to her level." Wei Chang and Lai Gu rushed over at the same time, and when they saw the shorty Brett, they were both stupefied. "Brett, did you go through puberty again?" In actuality, Lai Gu had feelings for Brett in the past, but Brett didn't even look at Lai Gu and only liked Zhu Tian. "None of your business," Brett said faintly. Lai Gu immediately shut up. Her temper is still as explosive as before. If she saw Zhu Tian right now, would she go berserk? Wei Chang smiled but didn't say anything. When Zhu Tian, who was dressed in a white western suit, appeared, one could clearly feel the anger that Brett was emitting out. When Zhu Tian, who was dressed in a white western suit, appeared, he was also very shocked. "His Honor didn't even tell me that Brett has returned." Zhu Tian didn't pay attention to Brett. Meanwhile, Brett also didn't pay attention to Zhu Tian. Meanwhile, the other people who were sandwiched in the middle could feel the negative energy that was being transmitted between them. Yihua sat on the high chair at the bar counter, poured himself a cup of wine, then asked faintly, "Just what is going on? You all actually didn't receive any news about this matter?" His Honor was angry and everyone immediately kneeled onto the ground. "Your Honor, please calm down, subordinate has failed in handling this matter." "Have you discovered anything yet?" Yihua asked coldly. Zhu Tian said respectfully, "Your Honor, subordinate feels that we should properly deal with Voidless Realms matter. Right now, regardless of whether it is the south or the north, everyone is saying that Voidless Realm is secretly hiding secret treasures. Especially those small families in the north, they are making a huge fuss about this matter, and it seems like they have been deceived. They are all people who forget morality at the sight of profit." Lai Gu snorted. Chapter 482. Conquering people with violence was not what Yihua wanted, he wanted to conquer people with virtue. Yihua took a sip of wine. "Where did the news come from?" Zhu Tian said gravely, "Your Honor, the news came from the aristocratic family of the north, Guan family." "But your wife's Guan family?" Right after Yi Hua said this, he felt that Brett was about to go berserk. Your Honor, that is my maid. Zhu Tian hurriedly explained. That's right, she is a maid, continue? Zhu Tian let out a breath. It's just that the entire Guan family was exterminated, and Guan Yinxin had always been with me, thus she managed to escape. This made Yi Hua very surprised. The Guan family of the north was also an aristocratic family, and their strength was not to be looked down upon. Seems like the opponent is quite powerful, and the news that they released is clearly aimed at me. Interesting, this is much more interesting than those arrogant and conceited people. Knowing that they are not my opponent, they decided to attack me from another angle. I like this kind of opponent, and only by defeating this kind of opponent will I be able to show how high my intelligence is. Dong dong dong. The sound of footsteps could be heard coming from the stairs, and Qing Yutong walked down while yawning. Everyone looked towards Qing Yutong, and Qing Yutong also noticed that her brother-in-law was having a mobilization meeting. I will only take a bag of spicy gluten, you all can continue. I will be leaving first. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong didn't even take a bag of spicy gluten, turned around and ran. Yi Hua took out a bag of spicy gluten. Your spicy gluten. Qing Yutong could be seen standing on the stairs and saying sweetly, your spicy gluten. This was a perfect interaction between brother-in-law and sister-in-law, causing the 5 subordinates to blush with shame. Seems like there will definitely be one more wife in the future. It is just a matter of time. Placing the spicy gluten at the side, Yi Hua asked again, do you know who did it? Or the suspect? Zhu Tian shook his head, then said, all of them were killed with a single slash, very nimble. When did this happen? Last night, and we only received the news today. Zhu Tian said. When Guan Yinxin heard that her entire family was exterminated, she fainted on the spot. Even when she woke up, she was still bawling loudly. When she finally stabilized, Guan Yinxin was accompanied by Dongfang Yuer. Wei Chang said respectfully, Your Honor, the other party's intention is very obvious. They want to release the news about the longevity fruit. Then why did you kill them to silence them? Yi Hua asked. All of His Honor's subordinates were startled. His Honor's examination is coming again. Brett didn't understand the situation yet, so he remained silent. However, this time, Yi Zizi suddenly raised her small hand and said sweetly, Your Honor, I know. Tell me about it then. Yi Hua didn't expect that Yi Zizi would still be the first to answer his question. Yi Zizi said with a smile, in actuality their real purpose is to exterminate Guan family, and coincidentally they found out about the whereabouts of the longevity fruit. However, they are rather afraid of Voidless Realm, and thus they can deduce that Voidless Realm's strength isn't that strong. Thus they decided to spread rumors to attack Voidless Realm. Yi Zizi's explanation stunned everyone present. What an incisive reasoning. Even Yi Hua was shocked. Yi Zizi, who has never used her brain, is actually able to say such a thing right now. This is simply too amazing. She can't be a fake, right? Wei Chang and Absolute Heaven agreed with Yi Zizi's conjecture. Lai Gu, go and look for those corpses and see who they met with when they were alive. Yi Hua said faintly. Yes. Zhu Tian, continue to investigate. I really want to see who exactly is the one that is pulling the strings from behind. Yes. Wei Chang, pay attention to Nanbei family's movements, see what actions they will take after finding out about the longevity fruit. Yes. After waiting for a long time, Yi Zizi still didn't receive any missions, thus she asked hurriedly, Your Honor, what about me? Continue to go to school. Yi Hua took a look at Brett. I have to make some arrangements. Meanwhile, Brett took the initiative and said, Your Honor, I wish to investigate together with Zhu Tian. Your Honor, I alone am enough. Zhu Tian said hurriedly. Yi Hua was a bit vexed. In the past it was still fine, Zhu Tian didn't have a chance to find a woman, and thus Brett didn't have a chance to talk about it. But right now Zhu Tian got 2 women at once. It would be weird if Brett didn't make a fuss. How am I going to appease my subordinates? This is also a problem. If not, should I order Zhu Tian to marry Brett? This is a bit difficult. After all, both parties must be willing to marry each other. I might as well let them live together for a period of time. Perhaps Zhu Tian has already gotten over it and might even accept Brett. If that happens, they will stop messing around. Brett, I agree to your request. You and Zhu Tian will investigate together. Brett knelt on the ground and said respectfully, Thank you, Your Honor, for fulfilling my request. These 5 words are so destructive. It seems as if they are going to cut Zhu Tian into pieces. Meanwhile, Zhu Tian's expression finally changed. This Brett is truly not someone that I can afford to offend. Alright, today's meeting will end here, you can disperse now. Yihua waved his hand then walked up to the second floor. Meanwhile Wei Chang, Lai Gu, and Yi Zizi immediately left. The two of them still have a lot of things to talk about. The shorty Brett glared at Zhu Tian, while Zhu Tian didn't give Brett a chance to look at him. Zhu Tian. What do you mean by that? Brett shouted out. Just that, for Brett to say something like that with his current body, he seemed a bit too mature. Zhu Tian let out a breath. Brett, it has already been a few hundred years, you still haven't gotten over it? Zhu Tian. Since I, Brett, have taken a fancy to you, I won't change my mind. Brett still maintained his firm conviction. Even after so many years have passed, his conviction still didn't waver in the slightest. Zhu Tian seemed to know that Brett would say this. Just what exactly have you taken a fancy to? I will change, alright? If you become a female cat, I will let you go. F***K, this is truly impossible to change. Seeing that Zhu Tian didn't say anything, Brett questioned, I heard that you have 2 wives? They are maids. Zhu Tian added. They are indeed maids. Alright. If they are maids, then did you touch them? I did. Furthermore, Zhu Tian did. Brett's pupils could be seen immediately shrinking, and his entire body disappeared from the spot. Zhu Tian paused for a moment, then hurriedly dodged. Brett. Have you gone mad? Zhu Tian shouted out coldly. This Brett actually wants to cut me up. Brett held onto a dagger and said eerily, since I can't use it, other women can forget about using it as well. Zhu Tian. Right now Zhu Tian was in despair. I didn't expect that Brett would be this crazy. Brett. This is his honor's place. If you break anything, you will be punished by his honor. Fine, I will punish you. Just wait until I cut you up, you heartless bastard, I will be willing to punish you with anything. You. Chapter 483. Absolute Heaven was powerless to refute Brett's words. In actuality, Yihua had been standing at the top and listening to the conversation. As expected, Brett wouldn't be able to take it. This Zhu Tian is also an honest person. Would he die if he spoke a lie? This person's personality is a bit similar to the Supreme Overlord's, he would never lie. Hearing Brett's question, Absolute Heaven said in a deep voice, Brett, we are all adults. I'm not. Little Brett immediately denied. He was still a child. Looking at that small body, Zhu Tian said, Alright, even if your body isn't, your heart is. Can you use the method of an adult to solve the problem? Alright. Die. Either I die or you live. Brett's big tears finally fell uncontrollably. This swindler liked women from the very beginning. He actually lied to him for hundreds of years. Absolute Heaven was also enraged, angrily saying, Brett, can't you be a little more rational? Don't get angry at the slightest provocation. Look at how gentle your air is. Yihua, who was upstairs, shook his head. You are showing off your love in front of Brett, Absolute Heavens. Did a dog eat your brain? You think I have a bad temper, but you say other women are gentle. Absolute Heaven. I will perish together with you today. Brett's left hand froze. The white jade bow appeared in his hand, and as he placed his right hand on the bowstring, an earth-shattering aura erupted. He's truly insane. Absolute Heaven muttered. If this arrow were to be shot out, it would cause a lot of casualties and Yihua had no choice but to stop it. Enough. An awe-inspiring aura entered their ears. Absolute Heaven, who had originally assumed a defensive stance, stood up straight. Meanwhile, the colored glass arrow on Brett's bow had yet to dissipate, and it was still aimed at Absolute Heaven. Yihua's expression sunk as he shouted out, Brett, put it down. Your Honor, Zhu Tian is too much of a bully. Brett shouted out while choking with sobs, and tears of grievance flowed out from Brett's eyes. Put down your weapon first. We can talk things out. Brett sobbed and shouted out, Your Honor, Zhu Tian isn't willing to talk to me properly. I ordered him to speak properly. Hearing this, Brett slowly put down the white jade bow in his hand. Yihua was also vexed. If it was me, I would also choose someone who is gentle, and not this kind of person who has a bad temper. It would seem that Absolute Heaven thought so as well. I, the Supreme Overlord, do not wish for any disagreements to appear within the group, or for any other matters to cause our relationship to break apart. Yihua said faintly while looking at the two of them. Absolute Heaven and Brett lowered their heads in silence. Brett, are you going to marry Zhu Tian? Yes, Brett answered decisively without any hesitation. Yihua nodded his head. In actuality, for one of the 7 deadly sins to have such a joyous occasion, it was already very good. The main point was Zhu Tian's attitude. Absolute Heaven, do you like Brett? Answer truthfully. I don't like it, Absolute Heaven's reply was also very decisive. Brett was confused. He turned around and asked, "Why don't you like me but two human women?" His Honor requested it. Brett turned his head and looked towards His Honor. If His Honor was the one who gave the order, I can still understand. Damn it, it's your subordinate who did something wrong and you're actually trying to push the blame onto me. In actuality, what Zhu Tian said was the truth. Back then, Yi Hua's order was just like that. Everything had to be reasonable and reasonable. Zhu Tian had no choice but to use Lai Gu's method to subdue Guan Yanxin and Dongfang Yuan. Although Zhu Tian did it with an ulterior motive, Zhu Tian seemed to have fallen in love with that feeling. In any case, looking at Guan Yanxin and Dongfang Yuan begging for forgiveness, Zhu Tian felt especially refreshed. Especially Dongfang Yuan, Zhu Tian felt more and more refreshed, to the point where Zhu Tian was a bit infatuated with her. However, if Zhu Tian wanted to be like Brett, it would simply be impossible. After all, with Brett's powerful physique, he would definitely not reveal an appearance that would make Zhu Tian feel very refreshed. Furthermore, Brett's temper was also bad, and he liked to be a queen. How could he be as obedient as Dongfang Yuan and Guan Yanxin? If it was Brett, Yi Hua would definitely be a female knight. In actuality, Zhu Tian had never liked Brett's personality. Now that he had tasted the gentleness of a human woman, he disliked Brett even more. "Brett, I didn't think too much about this matter, and Zhu Tian had no choice but to take action in order to complete the mission that I gave him." For the sake of the team's harmony, Zhu Tian felt that he had to explain Zhu Tian's actions. Since His Honor had spoken, Brett glared at Zhu Tian and said, "Is what His Honor said truly true?" "Yes," Zhu Tian said faintly. "Then after you complete the mission, kill the two of them." Brett chose to forgive Zhu Tian. After all, this was a mission that His Honor had given to him. "Impossible," Zhu Tian said resolutely. You just like them, you lied to me." Brett shouted out coldly, and the white jade bow in his hand appeared once again. Zhu Tian was very annoyed and he said straightforwardly, "That's right. I just like them." Zhu Tian, you weren't like this in the past. Is it because I became small and no longer good-looking? Just wait for a few more years, I will still be very sexy." Brett's tone could be seen immediately changing, and a pleading tone could be heard. Zhu Tian shook his head, then shouted out gravely, "Brett, it has already been a few hundred years, could it be that you still can't see it? I don't like you at all." Following Zhu Tian's words, the atmosphere seemed to have become still. Brett looked at Zhu Tian in disbelief. Although he had said such words before in the past, this was the first time that Brett heard such a tone from Zhu Tian. Brett's entire body was on the verge of collapsing, and he felt as if he had been abandoned by the entire world. Brett was very sad about his grandfather's death, and before he could even finish feeling sad, he was cruelly rejected by the man that he liked. Brett was unable to endure the consecutive blows. Brett's white hair could be seen gradually turning black, and his originally green eyes had also turned black. His small body was growing at a speed that was visible to the naked eye, and in an instant, he became an enchanting woman that was 1.8 meters tall. There wasn't a single trace of fat on his body, and those towering breasts of his, they were simply enough to make others blush with shame. That exquisite face of hers was enough to make all men go crazy, as expected of a female elf. Due to his clothes bursting, Brett was currently completely naked. Zhu Tian didn't even take a look at Brett. Meanwhile, Yi Hua let out a light sigh, then took out a blanket and covered Brett's body. God wanted Brett to start anew, but I didn't expect that in the end, he would still become a dark elf. If I had known, I would have let Brett stay in Blue Blaze Planet. Zhu Tian, are you not even willing to take a look at me right now? Brett asked coldly. Zhu Tian stood respectfully, then said faintly, "Brett, we are all His Honor's subordinates. In front of His Honor, please maintain some respect." Chapter 484. Looking at Brett, who had disappeared, Yi Hua's expression wasn't very good, but he still didn't say anything. "Your Honor, please forgive this subordinate's incompetence." Yi Hua shook his head. "This isn't related to you. Brett is too stubborn. If he isn't able to overcome this hurdle..." Zhu Tian went into a daze. Is His Honor trying to expel Brett from the 7 deadly sins? "Your Honor, although Brett is a bit stubborn and has a bad temper, he is absolutely loyal to Your Honor." All the missions were completed with flying colors. Yi Hua pinched onto the bridge of his nose and said indifferently, "I naturally know of Brett's loyalty, and you shouldn't have provoked her like that just now. This subordinate is only speaking the truth. I hope that Your Honor can forgive me." Forget it. I don't want to get involved in the matters between you two." Yihua stood up and said faintly. This Brett's stubbornness is even harder to deal with than Yi's easy stubbornness. This isn't something that can be changed in an instant. Forcefully suppressing it would only make the situation even more complicated. Originally, Absolute Heaven had thought that Brett's return would be a joyous occasion. He never imagined that things would turn out like this. If he tried to accept Brett, maybe Brett would become an obedient woman after marriage. After all, a woman could be coaxed. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were two very good examples of what Yihua could do. After all, if you don't coax a woman, she'll do whatever you want. Suddenly, Zhu Tian's expression changed. Your Honor, subordinate needs to leave immediately. Yihua turned his head around and asked, What happened? Brett took you away. Absolute Heaven said in a deep voice. Just now Guan Yinxin had called out to him. After finished speaking, Zhu Tian disappeared. Yihua let out a light sigh, then followed after Zhu Tian and went to take a look at what was going on. Not only did something happen to this wife's family, but something happened to me as well. In Zijin City, the original Xiao family's residence had already been changed to the Eastern family's residence. Very quickly, Zhu Tian appeared at the scene. Zhu Tian, just now, a naked woman directly brought Dongfang Yu away. Guan Yinxin sat on the bed and cried loudly. Just a moment ago, Dongfang Yu was still consoling herself, and suddenly, a naked woman suddenly appeared and asked who Dongfang Yu was. Dongfang Yu was quite honest and said that she was the one. Just as she finished speaking, she was brought away by Brett. Absolute Heaven's complexion was very ugly. Currently, Dongfang Yu had risen to a more important position in Absolute Heaven's eyes. He never expected that Brett would directly rush here and take you away. Zhu Tian, think of a way to save you, I. Guan Yinxin had received too many blows today, and she couldn't take it anymore and fainted. Absolute Heaven examined Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Chen only had a deficiency in his qi and was not a big deal. He would be fine as long as he replenished his qi in the future. Yihua, who was outside the door, let out a sigh of relief. All of you are making me worry. My subordinate actually kidnapped my subordinate's wife. What is going on? Wasn't this just bullshit? Yihua sensed Brett's aura. Unexpectedly, Brett was intentionally hiding his aura. It seems like Brett is determined to make Zhu Tian regret his actions. Your Honor. Zhu Tian arrived in front of Yihua and said while cupping his hands. His connection with Dongfang Yuan had been cut off by Brett, and he was completely unable to locate Dongfang Yuan. Zhu Tian, you don't have to be too anxious. After all, Brett is a woman and she won't do anything to Dongfang Yu. After all, she doesn't have the ability to do that. Yihua said faintly. Zhu Tian said gravely, Your Honor, Brett will abuse you. I am very clear about Brett. That was indeed true. Brett loved to abuse captives, and it was the kind of abuse that a queen would abuse captives. I will think of a way. Yihua said gravely. Thank you, Your Honor. Put aside the mission that you are currently working on first. Let's find Brett and Dongfang Yuan first. Yihua said coldly. This Brett is becoming more and more outrageous. This time, I have to give her a severe punishment. Zhu Tian felt touched and he bowed down. Thank you, Your Honor, for understanding. And I will be leaving first. Take good care of this Guan Yinxin. It isn't easy for her to do so. Subordinate thanks Your Honor on behalf of Guan Yinxin. Yihua nodded his head, then disappeared from the bedroom. Right now, Zhu Tian appeared to be very heavy. Brett is truly insane. She is capable of doing anything. Doesn't she know that doing something like that would anger his honor? Brett also threw caution to the wind. Even if his honor wants to punish me, I will make Zhu Tian regret his actions. Yihua returned to the bedroom and coincidentally, Qingya also returned. Yihua, where did you go just now? Qingya poured a cup of water and asked curiously. Yihua let out a sigh. A small matter happened on my side. How is the situation at Voidless Realm? Guan family was exterminated in a single night, and the disappearance of the longevity fruit caused all of the big families to become restless. There are also those powers that are hiding in the dark. In any case, everyone wants to obtain the longevity fruit right now, so they are using morality to blackmail us. Qingya shook her head. This is too scary to actually use morality to attack us. Do you have any countermeasures? Qingya shook her head. Baiji is currently extremely busy. On one hand, I have to find the culprit, and on the other hand, I have to calm down all of the big families. Leave the matter of the culprit to me. You all should properly deal with those greedy people. Qingya smiled sweetly, then hugged onto her husband tightly and buried her head onto Yihua's firm chest. Hubby, you are the best. Someone came to cause trouble. How can I let you all suffer a loss? Yi Hua lightly caressed onto Qingya's back and said coldly. Qingya was elated and asked curiously, "What do you mean by, small matter, just now?" Brett and Zhu Tian fell out. Yi Hua laughed bitterly. Did they really break up? In actuality, both Qingya and Donghuang Baiji had guessed it before, and both of them felt that the possibility of Donghuang Baiji falling out with Donghuang Baiji was very high. Brett has captured Dongfang Yu. He wants to make absolute heaven regret it. What? Qingya was stupefied. How is this a small matter? This is obviously a big matter. Don't worry about us then, quickly deal with this matter first. Qingya said hurriedly. Qingya was still very considerate towards Yi Hua. Yi Hua said faintly, "It's fine, I have a lot of people on my side, it will be fine if we split up and take care of things." Brett is actually a pitiful woman. Don't make things difficult for her. Yi Hua said in a low voice, "You don't have to worry about this, I have my own plans." Alright then, I will be returning to Voidless Realm first. For the next few days, Baiji and I will not be able to accompany you. Qingya kissed Yi Hua and said with a slight smile. In the future I'll calculate it all together. You're dead. After Qingya left, Yi Hua walked towards the office, and coincidentally Yi Zizi came out from the office. Your Honor, did they quarrel? Yi Zizi asked curiously. Go and do your homework, you don't have to worry about these things. Ba ba ba. Yi Zizi made a face, then went downstairs to get some spicy gluten. Sitting on the sofa in the office, Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Very quickly Lai Gu came to report. Your Honor, subordinate has finished investigating. Take a look. Yi Hua said faintly. Chapter 485. Looking at those corpses, Yi Hua slightly wrinkled his brows. Your Honor, the other party is quite strong. Lai Gu said. To actually be able to use the sealing technique to seal off the entire Guan family, a large group of masked black-clothed men began massacring the entire Guan family. However, Yi Hua was also able to see their boss. This should be the perspective of Guan family's patriarch. Guan family's patriarch, 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 Guan family's face could not be seen. Lai Gu, what kind of technique is this blood pool forbidden technique? This subordinate does not know. Yi Hua saw that the family head took out a red shard and handed it over to the boss, trying to beg for his life. However, it seemed like the boss wouldn't let him live at all. Sure enough, in order to survive, the family head spilled out Voidless Realm's secret. Yi Zizi's conjecture was right. It was actually true. Your Honor, these people don't seem to be targeting us. Lai Gu said respectfully. Tell me about it. Yi Hua laughed lightly. When did this Lai Gu know how to use his brain? Didn't he always use his lower body to think about problems? Lai Gu appeared to be very serious. In actuality, he had already received the news an hour ago. As for why Lai Gu did not appear, it was because Lai Gu went to cheat. Lai Gu hurriedly went back and asked his 3 wives. To be honest, Lai Gu's 3 wives are all intelligent. After analyzing for an hour, he finally came to a conclusion. Although he didn't know if it was correct or not, at least it was possible. Isn't this Lai Gu trying to claim credit for himself? Your Honor, these people's goal is that blood pool forbidden technique, and as for the longevity fruit, I only obtained the information by chance. Then why did they spread it out? Yi Hua asked. A diversion. The corner of Lai Gu's mouth began to rise upwards. This is the conclusion that the 3 wives came up with. Furthermore, this is an idiom, and it is able to encompass the entire purpose of this matter. As expected, after Yi Hua heard it, he was startled and said, Lai Gu, you did well. Hearing His Honor's praise, Lai Gu nearly revealed his true form. I'm truly so excited. Go on. Continue? Anything else? Lai Gu immediately went into a daze. My wives didn't teach me about the follow-up either. What happened? This group of people, they just want to. Yi Hua's brows wrinkled. When did this Lai Gu learn to keep me in suspense? In the end, it's still my appetite that's being whetted. Does it want to be stewed by me? That's right. When Lai Gu saw His Honor's gaze, he immediately got a fright. His Honor is definitely thinking about how to stew me. They want to use this kind of method to deceive others and make everyone's attention be placed on Voidless Realm. Then, they will be able to do whatever they want to do. Lai Gu said everything in one breath. Hearing Lai Gu's explanation, Yi Hua slightly leaned back and leaned onto the sofa. This is a bit possible. He used the matter of the longevity fruit to divert everyone's attention while he quietly worked on the side. After all, from their attitude, it seemed that they were after the blood pool forbidden technique from the beginning, not the longevity fruit. Your speculation is not bad, Yihua said gravely. Li Gu was delighted. I didn't expect that the nonsense that I spouted would actually be acknowledged by his honor. I'm really lucky today. Thank you for your praise, your honor. Go look for Brett's whereabouts. She had a falling out with Absolute Heaven and even captured Dongfang Yu. Brett captured Dongfang Yu. Wouldn't Absolute Heaven explode from anger? Li Gu cried out in astonishment. After all, Absolute Heaven would come to teach Li Gu from time to time, and Li Gu was very generous and imparted all of his martial arts to Absolute Heaven without holding anything back. Let's find her first. Yihua decided that after finding Brett, he would first put her under house arrest in a bar and let her sober up. This Absolute Heaven has already said it so clearly, why can't I let go of her? Brett naturally couldn't let go of Absolute Heaven. I have loved Absolute Heaven alone for hundreds of years, who would be able to endure Absolute Heaven's sudden love? Not killing Dongfang Yu and Guan Yanxin on the spot was already giving Absolute Heaven a lot of face. However, Brett kidnapped Dongfang Yu and brought her to a very cold place. North Pole. At this very moment, Dongfang Yu was wearing a thin summer dress and was sitting on the cold surface of the ice. The surrounding was a world of ice and snow, and pieces of ice were floating on the surface of the sea. From time to time, a bone-piercing cold wind would blow over, causing Dongfang Yu to tightly hug onto her legs. Her entire body was trembling and even her lips were trembling. On the other hand, Brett was completely naked as he stood in front of Dongfang Yu and looked down at the weak and small woman in front of him. I completely can't understand why Absolute Heaven would like this kind of woman. Other than having a weak and delicate appearance, what other use does she have? I can kill her with just a light touch. Weak to the point that it makes one's hair stand on end. However, it was precisely this kind of woman who didn't beg for mercy even after being captured until now, and had only tightly hugged onto me to keep myself warm. However, it was precisely this kind of action that caused Brett to become even angrier. Why aren't you begging for mercy? If you were to beg for mercy, I would feel comfortable in my heart. You are the one who snatched away my man, and you are still acting so righteous. Do you know who I am? Brett questioned coldly. Dongfang Yu's personality was just like this, using silence to resist against your violence. Speak. Brett grabbed onto Dongfang Yu's chin, and Dongfang Yu just looked at Brett without saying a word. Dongfang Yu's silence caused Brett to become even angrier, and he really wanted to crush her throat. However, in the end, Brett still endured it. Brett ruthlessly flung Dongfang Yu and the weak and small Dongfang Yu fell onto the ice surface. Following which, Brett curled up her body. This woman definitely wanted to capture me to threaten Absolute Heaven. This way, it would be better for her to die, and Absolute Heaven would not be threatened, nor would he be injured. Time passed by minute, and the cold wind became stronger and stronger. Dongfang Yu was simply unable to endure this kind of cold, and a thin layer of ice gradually appeared on her body. Her hands and feet became stiff, and her consciousness also started to become blurry. Absolute Heaven's figure involuntarily appeared in her mind, revealing a shallow smile. Meanwhile, when Brett saw Dongfang Yu's smile, it was as if an ice-cold thorn had pierced into his heart. This damned woman is actually thinking of my man at the moment of her death. If I let her die just like this, it would truly be letting her off lightly. Grabbing onto Dongfang Yu, he disappeared from this cold world. After an unknown amount of time, Dongfang Yu opened her beautiful eyes and looked around her surroundings. Am I still in a hotel? I still have a blanket on me. Did Absolute Heaven come to save me? Just when Dongfang Yu thought that she had been saved, the sound of high heels rang out. When she saw the tall and slender Brett appear, Dongfang Yu tightly hugged the blanket. Brett was wearing an exquisite long skirt, which set off that perfect figure of hers. It was simply explosively sexy. Moreover, Brett, who was wearing high heels, was at least 1.88 meters tall. Compared to Dongfang Yu, who was only 1.65 meters tall, Brett looked like a female giant. Chapter 486. Dongfang Yuan who was grabbing the blanket with both hands was indeed very afraid, but after hearing Brett's words she immediately let go and pretended not to be afraid and continued to remain silent. After a long time, Brett said indifferently, Absolute Heaven told me before that he doesn't like women. This sentence made Dongfang Yuan very surprised. This beautiful and sexy woman knew absolute heaven. What was going on? You know absolute heaven? Dongfang Yuan finally spoke. The tone of the two women were different. One was overflowing with domineering aura, the other was extremely delicate. Brett glanced at Dongfang Yuan and said solemnly, I know him in the year 838. Obviously Dongfang Yuan was once again shocked. They had actually been together for so long. Then we separated for 5 years. That absolute heaven who never liked women actually had you guys. Brett's tone gradually emitted a cold killing intent. You also like absolute heaven? Dongfang Yuan asked. Yes. I liked him for more than 800 years, he rejected me for more than 800 years, but this time he rejected me for you guys. I can't stand it, I want to take revenge on him. Make him regret it. Dongfang Yuan had never heard absolute heaven mention this before, but she felt that this woman was also very pitiful. Brett noticed Dongfang Yuan's pitiful gaze and said coldly, put away that lowly gaze of yours. Actually, you can have a good talk with absolute heaven. Dongfang Yuan said delicately with a comforting tone. Talk. Can't talk anymore. Do you know why I caught you? Dongfang Yuan shook her head. Because he said that you are gentler than me. Brett clenched her fist. Absolute heaven actually disliked her for not being gentle enough. Really? Dongfang Yuan asked reflexively, because when she was together with absolute heaven had never said anything good about her. Brett was angered to the point of laughing. This weak woman was actually showing off in front of him. Brett slowly stood up and pulled down the zipper on the back of her skirt, completely exposing her body to the air. Even Dongfang Yuan couldn't help but sigh, it was really sexy. What are you doing? When a woman stripped naked in front of another woman, Dongfang Yuan was a little afraid. Brett sneered, what am I doing? Doesn't absolute heaven like you? Then I will ruthlessly sully you, and I will also film it and send it to him. Sure enough, there was a mobile phone at the end of the bed. Dongfang Yuan hadn't noticed it just now. Don't come over. Dongfang Yuan was afraid at this moment, and like a frightened rabbit she shrunk back. But how could Dongfang Yuan be Brett's opponent? She was directly pressed down by Brett's body, unable to move. I want absolute heaven to see how his woman enjoys pleasure under me, Brett said with a sneer. Soon after he tore apart Dongfang Yuan's clothes. Don't be like this. Dongfang Yuan's tone wasn't able to form any threat at all, and it would only make the bad guy even more excited, just like the current Brett. I seem to have discovered why absolute heaven would like a woman like you. He likes your powerless expression. Brett could not help but admit that he understood absolute heaven very well. You. Whoa. Dongfang Yuan's beautiful eyes opened wide. I was forcefully kissed by Ju Tian, I am no longer pure, I have done something that let Ju Tian down. No, she is just a woman, she doesn't have any. Just when Dongfang Yuan was rejoicing, a pair of black wings stretched out from Brett's pure white back, bringing with it death within its beauty. However, this was not the important point was that there were 4 feeler-like things on the 2 sides of the wings. 2 of the black feelers could be seen immediately drilling into the blanket, and Dongfang Yuan's beautiful eyes opened wide as she let out a miserable cry. She couldn't help but grab onto Brett's ears with both of her hands. The most sensitive part of elves were their long ears, and after being grabbed by Dongfang Yuan, Brett let out an alluring moan. Immediately. The scene was extremely explosive. This was a feast for the eyes. So it can be played like this. Dongfang Yuan, who was an ordinary person, fainted in just a short while. Brett stood up with his face and ears red. Picking up the phone that was placed at the end of the bed, Brett took a look at the video. Not bad. I contacted Absolute Heaven using the method of money. And when Absolute Heaven, who didn't have any clues, heard Brett's voice, he immediately became excited. Brett, if you have any problems, come at me. Don't hurt Dongfang Yuan. Just because of what you said, I will properly torture her. You can be at ease, I won't kill her. Brett, we have been together for 800 plus years, is there a need for you to do this? Absolute Heaven. Then how did you treat me? It is impossible for us to be together. Fine. Impossible. Let me show you something good, add me on WeChat. Absolute Heaven's expression sunk. Brett, you are abusing her. That's right, I am abusing her using a man's method. You. After adding Absolute Heaven's WeChat, Brett immediately sent the video over, and even said that he would continuously update the video. Meanwhile, Absolute Heaven looked blankly at the video on the phone and the voice that was transmitted from the phone. His entire mind was stupefied. This Brett actually cuckolded me. Bang. The phone was directly smashed into pieces by absolute heaven. I didn't expect that Brett would actually use this kind of method to take revenge on me. Brett simply has no bottom line. Meanwhile, Brett was very satisfied because he felt that absolute heaven would definitely be angered to death right now. However, it is truly a pity that I won't be able to enjoy absolute heaven's appearance when he is angry. Looking at Dongfang Yuaner, who had already fainted on the bed, the wings on Brett's back once again appeared, and Brett continued to display the revenge of a woman. From today onwards, absolute heaven would receive a feather arrow every day, and on the feather arrow was a phone, causing absolute heaven to burn with anger. The main thing was that Dongfang Yuaner was very resistant at the start, but gradually, she changed. No matter how much Dongfang Yuaner resisted, a blush appeared on that delicate and pretty face of Brett's. Meanwhile, Brett even boldly said, "Your woman will become my woman." This truly caused absolute heaven to explode. This move of Brett's was indeed very useful. On the luxurious big bed, Brett hugged onto Dongfang Yuaner, who was on the verge of death. Looking at the phone at the end of the bed, a smile appeared on Brett's face. "Yuer, say hello to absolute heaven." After finished speaking, Brett even kissed onto Dongfang Yuaner's lips. Meanwhile, Dongfang Yuaner powerlessly laid beside Brett. Her entire body didn't have any strength left. Absolute heaven. Let me tell you, Dongfang Yuaner is mine now. She doesn't like you anymore, the one she likes right now is me. After absolute heaven saw the latest video, he was simply unable to endure it. Brett is completely a pervert. Chapter 487. However, absolute heaven was prepared to report Brett's evil deeds, which made one's hair stand on end. Yihua sat on the sofa in his office and listened to the report that came from absolute heaven. Yihua took a deep puff of his cigarette. "Your Honor, Brett has already become twisted." What could Yihua possibly do? Right now, he couldn't even find the person that was in the room. "You shouldn't have provoked Brett that day," Yihua said gravely. "When this woman goes crazy, she basically doesn't care about the consequences at all, let alone one of the 7 sins, Brett." On that day, absolute heaven had been forced into a corner by Brett, and he had wanted to cut the Gordian knot. In the end, however, he had thoroughly angered Brett. It's already fortunate that Dongfang Yuer is fine now. But Brett tortures her every day. This subordinate can't stand it anymore. Yihua went silent for a moment, then said faintly, "Think of a way to lure Brett out." "Deceive?" Absolute heaven was stunned. "This is the only way for you to save Dongfang Yuer." In actuality, Yihua had been thinking about it for a few days. Only absolute heaven would be able to lure Brett out. If not, even if Brett wanted to hide, no one would be able to find him. Zhu Tian became silent. After thinking for a long while, Zhu Tian said gravely, "Your Honor, if we really lied to Brett, I'm afraid that she, in truth, absolute heaven also could not bear to do so. After all, they had lived together for so long. You decide for yourself." Yihua was also at his wit's end. This matter was too troublesome. After struggling for a long time, absolute heaven finally nodded his head. Looking at Zhu Tian leaving, Yihua was very vexed. "I will slowly enlighten Brett in the future. Revenge breeds revenge, when will it ever end?" After returning home, absolute heaven waited for Brett to contact him. After a day, Brett finally contacted him. Brett's sweet voice rang in his mind. "Absolute heaven, what do you think? I said that I would make you regret it." "Brett, you did it?" Absolute heaven said in a deep voice. Brett was stunned. He did not expect that absolute heaven would admit defeat so quickly. For a moment, Brett was at a loss for words. "Come back. You've already taken revenge on me, so don't hurt anyone else. Feeling heartache? Don't worry, I will treat you well. Brett, I'm willing to marry you and give up both of them." Zhu Tian's words caused Brett's pupils to shrink, and he became so excited that he stood up. Is what you said true?" "And his honor has agreed as well." In order to dispel Brett's misgivings, Zhu Tian had no choice but to bring up his honor. In Brett's heart, his honor would never lie to her. "His honor has agreed. That's great." Brett felt that this was too sudden. He sat down on the ground and started bawling. After waiting for more than 800 years, this moment had finally come. Zhu Tian let out a sigh of relief. "Emicham, I'll wait for you at home." After that, the two of them ended the call. Absolute heaven sat on a chair in the hall, his mood heavy. Was this really all right? But it couldn't go on like this. After waiting for nearly 2 hours, absolute heaven saw the space before him distort. "It's here." Brett was wearing a fiery red dress with a V-neck. It was festive and sexy and she was actually smiling. Absolute Heaven had never seen Brett smile before. However, other than Brett, Dongfang Yuaner's figure was nowhere to be seen, causing Absolute Heaven to feel slightly anxious. Absolute Heaven stood up and stared at Brett. Meanwhile, Brett was acting like a little girl, lowering his head bashfully. "Are you really willing to marry me?" Brett said in a low voice, not even daring to look straight at Absolute Heaven's gaze. The cold and fiery Brett in the past had suddenly changed. Absolute Heaven slowly walked to Brett's side, then carried Brett into his embrace. "Hey!" Hearing Absolute Heaven's permission, Brett cried again. She cried like a little child. "I didn't wait for so long in vain and now the day has finally come." Absolute Heaven took a deep breath, then asked, "Where's your?" Brett's beautiful face stiffened, then she said faintly, "I killed her." "What?" Absolute Heaven grabbed onto Brett's shoulders and questioned angrily. Looking at Absolute Heaven's expression that was filled with so much pain that he wished he was dead, Brett's happiness was instantly trampled. "What? Are you feeling heartache?" "Brett, you are crazy." Absolute Heaven shouted out angrily. "I didn't expect that Brett would actually kill her." "Absolute Heaven, didn't you say that you want to marry me? Why did you become like this after hearing that you is dead?" Brett laughed. This laughter of Brett's was very miserable. Brett faintly felt that this was a scam. "Your Honor, please come out. This was all planned by you guys, right?" Brett said to the air. His heart was completely torn into pieces. Yi Hua's figure appeared beside Brett, then he let out a deep breath. "Brett, we are doing this for your own good." That miserable laughter caused Yi Hua and Absolute Heaven to feel very uncomfortable. In their memories, Brett had never acted like this before. Even when he killed his big sister with his own hands, Brett did not have any reaction at all. "How do you two understand me? You two don't understand me at all." After finished speaking, a pair of black elf wings unfolded, and a green long blade condensed in Brett's hand. Yi Hua's gaze became serious, then shouted out coldly, "Brett!" A golden binding light immediately wrapped around Brett, but Brett's speed was even faster than Brett's. The left half of Brett's wing was cut off by Yi Hua, and soon after, Brett's wing was bound by Yi Hua. Cutting off one's wing was the cruelest method to deal with elves. According to legends, elves who had their wings cut off would never be able to reincarnate. Brett didn't want to see Absolute Heaven anymore in this life. Even in his next life he didn't want to see Absolute Heaven anymore. Therefore Brett used this wing to understand himself. The black wing that was dripping with blood fell onto the ground. Both Yi Hua and Absolute Heaven were stupefied. If Yi Hua was just a bit slower just now, Brett would have died just now and he wouldn't even have the chance to reincarnate. Furthermore, how could an elf be able to endure the pain of a wing being cut off? Look at the current Brett. Although his face was pale, he didn't shout out in pain. Furthermore, to Brett, a wing being cut off was a great loss to his strength. If he wanted to recover, he would have to regrow his wing. "Your Honor, please bring me away from here, I don't want to see him anymore." Brett returned back to his original appearance, but the feeling that he gave off was lifeless, as if he was an empty shell without a soul. Yi Hua picked up the wing that was cut off from the ground, seeing if he could find a way to reattach it back. "Brett!" Absolute Heaven couldn't help but shout out. Brett said coldly, "Don't call me anymore. In the future we will have nothing to do with each other anymore." After helping Brett up, Yi Hua patted onto Brett's shoulder. "Just get over it, don't do anything stupid." When Brett was leaving, Brett told Absolute Heaven about Dongfang Yuer's location, and from then on, Brett broke off all ties with Yi Hua. Looking at the bloodstains on the ground, Absolute Heaven seemed to be at a loss, not knowing what to do. After returning to Leisure Bar, Brett immediately collapsed. Brett hugged onto his honor and cried bitterly. Yi Hua let out a sigh and consoled Brett. "You will feel better after you cry, don't be too sad." Chapter 488. Inside the bar. Right now Brett was wailing loudly. It was simply a tragic scene. Even Qing Yutong, who was upstairs, noticed it, and she walked down to take a look at the situation. "Brother-in-law, what's going on?" Qing Yutong was stupefied. Seeing such a situation, her first reaction was that brother-in-law is done for. It is definitely his former lover. After this reunion, Qing Yutong couldn't help but cry tears of joy. Luckily, she didn't bring a child with her, if not brother-in-law would definitely be done for. However, this seems to be no different from being done for. "Your Honor, why did you lie to me as well?" Brett used a small fist and hammered on Qing Yutong's chest. This caused Qing Yutong's mouth to turn into an O. Brother-in-law lied to another girl again. Seeing Qing Yutong's expression, Yi Hua said faintly, Stop your imagination. That, brother-in-law, this is you as well? This is Brett, you saw him during the meeting that day, he is that shorty. Yihua said gravely. It is very annoying for subordinates to have conflicts with each other. Qing Yutong was startled and mumbled. He matured so quickly. Alright, go and guide her properly, she is hurt by love. Yihua felt that only women would be able to comfort Brett. Qing Yutong patted on her chest. Leave it to me. Qing Yutong could be seen sitting beside Brett and saying earnestly, there is not a single man who is good. Yihua. Brett left his honor's embrace and hugged onto Qing Yutong. You are right, there is not a single man who is good. Yihua. Letting Qing Yutong comfort me is a wrong choice. Yihua picked up the broken wing at the side. The wing is showing signs of withering. If I continue to delay it, I am afraid that I won't be able to reattach it. Walking to Brett's back, Yihua said faintly, stretch out the wing. Towards his honor's command, Brett obediently took out the wing on his back. The position of the wing that was broken was a ghastly sight. Yihua wrinkled his brows and took out a bottle of medicine from his ring. Brother-in-law, is that glue? Qing Yutong, can you not speak? Yihua glared at Qing Yutong. The latter pouted her mouth. Brother-in-law is very fierce. The holy liquid that Yihua was holding in his hand possessed a powerful recovery ability. Of course, it was something that he snatched from an overlord. As for whether it would be effective or not, Yihua had no idea. Thus he felt that he should still give it a try. Xiao Qin placed the broken wing over the wound and dripped some holy liquid on it. The wound gave off a blue light and a strong fragrance. Yihua paused for a moment, then a ray of white light shot out from his palm, and just like a white laser, the white light was repairing the broken wing. Ah! The intense pain caused Brett to scream. This repair was even more painful than cutting. While treating the wound, Yihua was very serious. After all, it was his subordinate who got injured. However, only they could injure themselves. Whew! Yihua let out a breath. I'm finally done. Right now, all I have to do is to properly recuperate. Brother-in-law, she fainted. The fact that Brett, one of the 7 deadly sins, fainted from the pain showed how terrifying this repair was. Let her rest. After saying that, he placed a restriction on Brett to prevent her from running around again. All right. Sitting at the side of the bar, Yihua pinched the bridge of his nose. The problem can be considered to have been solved. However, the relationship between Zhu Tian and Brett could be considered to have completely collapsed. This was not a good thing for the entire team. This Zhu Tian is also a stubborn person. I have already taken in 2 women, so why isn't he willing to marry Brett? To think that others would even seek death for you. From this, it can be seen how deep your love is. However, how deep your love was back then, how deep your hatred is right now. Baiyu Zhu Tian's figure appeared beside Yihua. Your Honor. Yihua did not say anything and only sighed. Your Honor, how is Brett? Zhu Tian asked with concern. She is fine now. That's good. Zhu Tian let out a breath of relief. Just now, when he saw Brett actually committing suicide, he was truly frightened. Yihua asked gravely, didn't you dislike her? Why are you asking about this now? Your Honor, please forgive me. Zhu Tian lowered his head and apologized. I shouldn't have let you take on that mission. If Yihua knew that such a thing would happen, he definitely wouldn't have let Zhu Tian take on that mission. And you still say that you have the brains to take on the mission? Zhu Tian lowered his head and remained silent. He was feeling very complicated in his heart. When he thought about how Brett looked like just now, he felt very uncomfortable. Yihua lit up a stick of cigarette. Forget it, you can go back first. Don't worry about the matters here anymore. Thank you, Your Honor, for your magnanimity. Zhu Tian bowed and said. Let's see how the 2 of you are going to clean up this mess. Yihua shouted coldly, then disappeared from the bar. Zhu Tian straightened his body and looked towards the 2nd floor, then let out a sigh and disappeared from Leisure Bar. Right now, Yihua had arrived at Voidless Realm. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji hadn't returned to Voidless Realm for a few days, so Yihua decided to come here to take a look. Last time, I directed a big show here, and I haven't even had the chance to enjoy it yet. Yihua's appearance caused a lot of people to be shocked, but after knowing that he was the Empress's husband, everyone greeted him respectfully. After all, the Empress's husband had saved them before. Meanwhile, Yihua walked with the footsteps of a big shot and nodded his head slightly. However, one mustn't learn this kind of footsteps. It is very easy for one to get beaten up. There was a person who walked with this kind of footsteps, and the grass on his grave was already 2 meters tall. When the people from Voidless Realm saw that the Empress's husband had such an imposing manner, they were also extremely happy. As expected, the empress's husband is very powerful. Yi Hua directly walked towards the newly built palace. Along the way, no one stopped him, and even the guards respectfully lowered their heads to greet Yi Hua. Towards such a scene, Yi Hua appeared to be very natural. He walked into the palace from the outer wall. Right now, Donghuang Baiji and Qingye were currently having a meeting with the military officers, discussing how to deal with the current situation. Yi Hua directly walked into the meeting just like that, and with a single glance, he saw his woman sitting on an exquisite throne. The woman was wearing a purplish golden gown and a crown on her head. This makeup is not bad. Next time if I let Baiji dress like this, it should be very exciting. Qingye sat a bit below Donghuang Baiji, and when the two women saw their husband walking in, the corner of their mouths twitched. Everyone at the scene recognized Yi Hua, and they respectfully shouted out, "Lord Yi." The empress's husband didn't have a title, and normally he would just be called by his surname, and the word Lord would be added at the back to show respect. Yi Hua waved his hand and walked towards the throne. Donghuang Baiji slowly stood up and was planning to give up her seat to her husband. However, she was stopped by Yi Hua's gaze. No matter what, this is my woman's territory, I naturally have to give her face. I, the Supreme Overlord, will not do those things that will make my woman lose face. A trace of a heartwarming smile appeared on Donghuang Baiji's face. Yi Hua is still very considerate towards me. After being together for a long time, a husband and wife would be able to understand each other's words and actions. Men, give this empress husband a seat of honor. Donghuang Baiji shouted out gravely. Chapter 489. Yi Hua took a look at Qingye's stomach. She is going to give birth in another 4 to 5 months, right? Continue. Donghuang Baiji shouted out lightly, emitting out the aura that an empress should have. Seeing Donghuang Baiji like this made Yi Hua feel very comfortable, and he felt a sense of accomplishment. You see this? This is my woman, every word and action of hers is emitting out strong confidence, and only when I am pressing her down would she reveal the appearance of a little woman. Yuan De said, Your Majesty, those families in the south collectively raised a protest. They hope that— Hope what? Donghuang Baiji asked coldly. They hope that Your Majesty can also share some of the fruits with them. Yuan De lowered his head and said. Donghuang Baiji's expression sunk. Back then, when I went to save the south together with Qingye, those people were extremely respectful towards me. But now, when they heard that there was a good thing in the south, they completely forgot who it was that saved them back then, and they even dare to say that I am hiding something. This is so infuriating. Yi Hua sat at the side and did not say anything. Now you all know it is useless to be nice to them, they will only fear evil and not the kind empress. What did Ying family do? Ying family did not express any opinion. What is the exact situation in the north? Did you find any clues? Donghuang Baiji asked gravely. Xing Han cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, other than the aristocratic families, all of the families in the north expressed their protest. They also want the longevity fruit, and they even said that Your Majesty colluded with the aristocratic families to lie to them for a long time. Donghuang Baiji slammed onto the armrest of the chair. These people are truly blinded by greed to actually say that I lied to them. Did you find the murderer of Guan family? Donghuang Baiji asked coldly. Everyone below shook their heads, there were no clues at all. What is blood pool forbidden technique? Just as everyone remained silent, Yi Hua asked this question faintly. Other than Qingye, everyone's gaze became serious, and their expressions immediately became grave. Yi Hua, did you find out anything? Donghuang Baiji asked. The reason why Guan family was exterminated was because of blood pool forbidden technique, and the matter regarding voidless realm was purely an innocent bystander. Tell me, what is this blood pool forbidden technique? Replying to Lord Yi, this blood pool forbidden technique is also just a legend. Yi Hua laughed lightly, I like legends. Yuan De continued, rumor has it that in ancient times, there was a cruel member of the blood tribe who refined his clansmen one by one in order to increase his strength and bring disaster to the world. However, he was still sealed in the end. It is said that the seal can be broken with the purest blood of the blood tribe. After hearing that, Yi Hua became very interested. They are the same kind of people. Yi Hua, how did you know about this? Qingye asked curiously. One of my subordinates discovered this information. This is a group of masked men in black. They released the news of the longevity fruit just to attract attention. Hearing that, Donghuang Baiji's brows wrinkled. From the looks of it, this group of people is very strong. They were able to exterminate the entire Guan family. It's all right. But why is there a blood clot in the Guan family? Baiji, have you ever considered this problem? Yi Hua said faintly. Donghuang Baiji shook her head. She was not clear about this matter at all. Yi Hua continued, that blood clot should be the item that was sealed. If we gather the blood clot and use the purest blood, we might really be able to undo the seal and release that blood tribe that you all are talking about. That would be a disaster. Yuanda let out a long sigh. Would it be a disaster? To Yi Hua, this was a very interesting matter. I really want to see just what kind of a cruel blood tribe is like. The most important thing right now is to solve the problem of Voidless Realm's reputation. Yi Hua said. Donghuang Baiji said in a low voice, this isn't a problem of our Voidless Realm's reputation, it's just that they want the longevity fruit too much. Give it to them then. Yi Hua said faintly. What's the point of hiding a longevity fruit? Donghuang Baiji, if you all continue on like this, it will only make the matter even more complicated. A good thing like the longevity fruit is something that even humans would covet, let alone a longevity fruit. You all can just hold a martial arts competition and have each family send out a person to fight. Afterward, we can just distribute the fruits reasonably. Yi Hua's words caused the eyes of everyone present to light up. This is indeed a good idea. As expected of the Empress's husband. Not only is he strong but he also has a good brain. The Empress is truly fortunate to be able to find such a husband. This idea is feasible. Qinya agreed to her husband's suggestion. Donghuang Baiji nodded her head. Let us discuss about the details then. Yi Hua stood up and said faintly, you all can discuss about it, I will be going back first. Empress, remember to come back home today. After finished speaking, Yi Hua disappeared. A layer of redness appeared on Donghuang Baiji's beautiful face. This Yi Hua actually dared to take liberties with me in front of so many people. Watch how I am going to take care of you tonight. I won't let you stop for even a second. After returning back to Leisure Bar, Yi Hua walked to Qing Yutong's room to see how Brett was doing. However, where did that person hit me? This was Brett's question. At the top of that mountain, didn't you see it? Qing Yutong shouted out. Bastard. To actually sneak attack me, there isn't a single good man in this world. Brett said angrily while shaking his teeth. That's right, all men are bastards, let's go for the next round. Yi Hua was truly helpless. This Brett is actually playing a game with Qing Yutong. Did his emotional injury heal so quickly? In just a blink of an eye, he became lively again. Cough. Yi Hua called out to remind the two women that no man wanted. Qing Yutong and Brett turned their heads around to take a look, then immediately shrunk back and continued playing their game. However, looking at Brett's current state, Yi Hua slightly let out a breath of relief. At least, it is better than that kind of situation where you want to die. However, Brett's current state made Yi Hua feel that he wasn't letting go of Brett at all, and was instead pretending to let go of Brett. One day Brett will still explode. Let's hope that absolute heaven will be able to give Brett a good ending. Returning back to the office, Yi Hua turned on the television and looked at Detective Conan while supporting his chin with his hand. Speaking of which, no matter where this fellow goes on the television, people will die. He must have been cursed by death before. Blood pool forbidden technique, purest blood. Somewhat interesting. After who knows how long, the Empress's voice rang out from behind Yi Hua. Yi Hua took a look, then patted on his thigh. Donghuang Baiji rolled her eyes at her husband, then sat on Yi Hua's lap. Very naturally, Donghuang Baiji lied on Yi Hua's embrace and felt that powerful heartbeat. Baiji. Your outfit today looks very good. Is that so? Donghuang Baiji asked shyly. It is very rare for Yi Hua to praise someone. Yi Hua lifted up the Empress's chin and said indifferently, I still want to look at it. Since her husband had a request, the Empress naturally had to satisfy his request. The moment she stood in front of Yi Hua, she immediately transformed. Meanwhile, Yi Hua transformed into a wolf and pounced over. Yi Hua. It isn't night yet, the way you are right now, I am unable to wait anymore. Chapter 490. When the morning sunlight shone into the room through the window, Yi Hua felt that the beauty beside him had already left. A trace of an arc appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. This Empress sure is a workaholic, she only slept for a few hours and she went back to sleep. Sitting up, Yi Hua stretched his neck. In actuality, the days when I have a wife are much better, I don't know how I spent my days in the past. After putting on his clothes, Yi Hua called Wei Chang over. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Wei Chang half-kneeled respectfully, while Yi Hua stood by the window and smoked while staring at the hot pot restaurant. Yi Hua asked lightly, Have you heard of blood pool forbidden technique in purest blood? Wei Chang said in a low voice, Your Honor, subordinate has never heard of the blood pool forbidden technique before, but I have heard LV Liang mention this purest blood before. What happened? Yi Hua asked curiously. It's the bar next door. Aren't the two proprietors bloodlings? I heard from LV Shu that they possessed the purest blood. Yi Hua laughed. So, the key to unlocking the seal was right beside me and I actually didn't know about it. This purest blood is related to the opening of the blood pool forbidden technique. Your Honor, do you mean to destroy the purest blood? Wei Chang asked gravely. Yi Hua shook his head and lightly sucked in a mouthful of air. No, we are going to help them open up the seal because I, the Supreme Overlord, really want to see that demon. This subordinate understands. Let's leave this matter to the Green and Red brothers. Also, let Yi Hong get some credit for this matter. After all, Zishan had already come to look for me once. Even now, Yi Hua could still remember that day when Zishan came to look for him. Zishan's hesitant look on her face, as if she couldn't say what she wanted to say. When Zishan first came here she was extremely unwilling. And now she even came here to beg me to give Yi Hong a chance. I really didn't expect this. Subordinate understands. In that case, subordinate will go over and convey his honor's orders right now. Go. After Wei Chang left, Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette butt and prepared to go out to buy breakfast. Of course it was still that Chinese jianbing. Give me a serving of fruit jianbing. Yi Hua looked at the aunt and said faintly. The middle-aged woman nodded and began to do it. Yi Hua felt that there was something wrong with the auntie today. In the past she would always like to tease me but today she is actually not speaking. Did the sun rise from the west today? Yi Hua took the Chinese jianbing that the auntie handed over to him, and the auntie seemed to have a lot on her mind. You don't want money anymore? Yi Hua asked faintly. Didn't you just give it to me? Yi Hua took out his phone, scanned the WeChat that was at the side, then showed it to the aunt. Look carefully, I have counted the money. The auntie nodded with a sorrowful look on her face. Yi Hua took a look, wrinkled his brows, then walked back to Leisure Bar. Everyone has their own troubles. This sovereign has one as well. Right at this moment, Wei Chang arrived at Yi Hong's villa. After passing down his honor's order to Yi Hong, Zishan who was at the side was immediately overjoyed. His honor finally gave Yi Hong a mission. You have nothing to say now, right? Meets your criteria for success. Yi Hong was very excited and shouted out excitedly, Subordinate will definitely complete the mission that his honor has given me. Big Brother Green seemed a bit heavy, but he still said, This subordinate will properly complete the mission. Remember, don't expose yourself, Wei Chang warned before disappearing from the villa. Yi Hong happily hugged onto Zishan and spun around. His honor finally gave me a mission. Zishan gave a sweet kiss to Zishan. Don't disappoint his honor's expectations. That's for sure, I guarantee that I will complete the mission beautifully. Yi Hong patted on his chest and promised. That's more like it, I will make breakfast for you too. Zishan smiled gently, then walked into the kitchen after putting on her apron. Yi Hong was already bursting with happiness. Zishan, you have worked hard. Zishan, who was in the kitchen, clenched her fist and cheered for her husband. You can do it, my Zishan is so cute, I am so happy. Big brother, we can go on a mission together, why are you frowning? Yi Hong hugged onto his big brother's shoulder and said excitedly. During these few days, LV Liang would often be together with the blood race sisters, and they had developed a bit of feelings for each other. Although there wasn't any substantial progress, after hearing his honor's request, LV Liang felt a bit uncomfortable in his heart. This request isn't directed towards his honor, it is directed towards the blood race sisters. I promised them that I will protect their purest blood, but right now I still have to give it away. LV Liang was in despair. How did this happen? If I had known earlier, I would have acknowledged their identities, and his honor wouldn't have done this. My God. What am I thinking? It can't be that I fell in love with two vampires, right? Definitely not, this is just a kind of sympathy, that's right. It's sympathy. Big brother. Big brother. Yi Hong shook his big brother, who had a strange expression on his face. What does this mean? LV Liang came back to his senses. What is it? Aren't you on good terms with the blood race sisters? I will leave the matter of collecting the purest blood to you. Yi Hong had a naughty smile on his face, and had a look that said, you should understand on his face. Collect? How do I collect it? Suck it with my mouth. LV Liang raised his hand and slapped onto Yi Hong's face. At this moment, Zishan, who was in the kitchen, shouted out, Big brother. If you hit my husband again in the future, You won't have a share in my cooking anymore. Yihang sighed. In this world only having a wife is good. Yihang said in a low voice, Big brother, if you don't go and suck it, do you want me to suck it for you? Right now I am a man with a family. Furthermore, the blood race sisters like you, what's wrong with letting you suck a few mouthfuls of blood? LV Liang rubbed his temple in annoyance, then said, Let me ask about the situation first. And I will wait for Big brother's good news. Right after LV Liang finished speaking, LV Liang disappeared from the kitchen. At this moment, Zishan walked out of the kitchen with a bowl of noodles. Where is Big brother? You went to suck the blood. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I have already made an extra bowl, it would be a pity to throw it away. Husband, you should eat it all. Looking at that big bowl of noodles, Yihang smiled apologetically. Wife, I can't finish eating that much. Even if you can't finish it, you still have to let me eat it. Who asked you to lose money gambling? I will have to eat dirt if I follow you. Zishan said in annoyance and rolled her eyes at Yihang. Zishan's words were a bit of a blow to Yihang. I don't have the ability to make a good girl like Zishan suffer with me. Looking at the noodles that Zishan made, Yihang felt that he didn't even have the qualifications to eat it. And when Zishan saw that her husband's expression changed, she knew that her unintentional words just now had hurt him, so she hurriedly explained, Yihang, I didn't mean it that way. Zishan, you can be at ease, I will become your ideal man. With his fastest speed, Yihang finished eating the noodles, then walked out of the house to look for clues. Zishan lightly let out a breath. Just now, I had unintentionally hurt Yihang. Chapter 491. Therefore Yihang had always wanted to prove that he was worthy of Zishan. This was the dignity of a man. However, Zishan didn't think that way. What she said just now was just a joke. If she said it too quickly, she wouldn't even be able to stop herself. Actually, Zishan's thoughts were very simple. She just wanted her family of 3 to live together peacefully. To Zishan, who had lived for a few thousand years, what she wanted the most right now was to have a child. She wanted to have a child more and more. Especially when she saw other women bringing their children out and dressing up their children beautifully, Zishan would be endlessly envious. If only she could have a child like that. But Yihang did not want to give him a child. He felt so dizzy. It was completely useless for Yihang to go out to look for clues like this. In fact, Yihang mainly wanted to go out to get some fresh air. Meanwhile, LV Shu went to the 7 bar. I'm here for your lady boss, LV Liang said to the tall and strong foreigner with a sullen face. Everyone knew that this man was the lady boss's pet boy. At this time, LV Shu stood at the door of the bedroom thinking about her words. How should she tell them later? Why did he have to think so clearly? Was he afraid that they would be sad? Then why was he afraid that they would be sad? Could it be that he had fallen in love with them? If he had fallen in love with 2 vampires, it wasn't a matter of being cuckolded or not, it was a matter of being sucked to death. Creak, creak, creak. The door opened automatically, which startled Lulu. She hadn't thought of what to say yet. He could only walk in helplessly and look at the big bed. 2 beauties were lying on the pink bed with their long legs exposed. The elder sister, Serena, was more reserved, while the younger sister, Serena, bit her index finger with her beautiful eyes. LV Liang took a deep breath. Basically, she had to withstand this kind of temptation every day to not be sucked by them. I have a little matter to talk to you guys about today. LV Liang said hesitantly as she sat on the sofa at the side. Serena said coquettishly, Don't say it's something. My sister and I can help you with anything. As she spoke, Celine's consciousness floated over from the bed. Yes, that's right, it was fluttering. People would definitely think it was a ghost if they saw it at night. His elder sister, Serena, was much better. She got off the bed and asked, You don't look too good today. What's wrong? I said don't be angry. After LV Shu finished speaking, she felt that there was something wrong with her words. Why was she afraid that they would be angry? Was there something wrong with her brain? However, when the 2 sisters heard LV Shu's words, they both laughed and held LV Shu's arm. This made LV Shu feel like coughing up blood and she became respectful. They were wearing low-cut pajamas which were too eye-catching and too soft. No matter what you do, my sister and I won't be angry, Celine said softly as she leaned on LV Liang's shoulder. Yes, Serena replied obediently. Big Brother Green was simply a winner in life. There were twins who looked exactly the same, but Big Brother Green was the only one in the entire team. This meant one thing. Life could only be perfect if you were cuckolded. After perfection there would be surprises. So, don't panic if you were cuckolded. The twins were waiting for you. How do I extract your purest blood? LV Liang asked in a low voice, just like a little virgin. Well, actually, Big Brother Green was really an old virgin. He didn't even touch his girlfriend before he was cuckolded. Then he bragged in front of his underlings, saying that 3 horses came last night, and a group of horses came the night before yesterday. That was all fake. He only said that because he wanted to save face. After hearing this, the 2 sisters blushed and leaned on LV Shu's chest. The older sister, Celine, blushed and said coquettishly, "You can extract it however you want." Wrong, wrong, wrong. That's not what I meant. What I meant was, how did you get it? LV Shu, what do you want the purest blood for? Celine asked curiously. LV Shu said in a deep voice, for the forbidden blood pool technique. Obviously, the 2 sisters had heard of this rumor. Their originally shy faces suddenly changed, and then they looked at LV Shu with vigilance. For some reason, when LV Shu saw their eyes, he felt a stabbing pain in his heart. You approached us for the forbidden blood pool technique. Celine shouted. She was very surprised how LV Shu knew about it. Listen to my explanation. The 2 sisters shouted at the same time, not listening, not listening, not listening. It's really not what you think. Not listening, not listening, not listening. LV Liang was also angry. Why was this woman so annoying? He wrapped his arms around her. Listen to me. If I want to, I can easily obtain it. What I mean is there any other way to obtain the purest blood? LV Shu shouted in a deep voice. No. Even if you are our benefactor, we will not let you release the demon. The 2 sisters were very firm in their choice. LV Shu really did not know what to do. He shouted, "This is the request of my boss." Do you know why? It's because he wants to help you eliminate the demon. After hearing this, the Blood Clan sisters were shocked, and their expressions showed that this was really the case. Think about it. Being sealed means that there is still a chance for him to come out. If my boss's boss destroys him, wouldn't this threat be eliminated? After hearing this, the 2 sisters nodded. These words were very particular. Look at your faces. You don't believe me. It hurts me so much. LV Shu was very angry. He coldly snorted, unable to appease them. The 2 sisters knew that they had misunderstood. The big sister, Serena, stood at the back and massaged LV Shu, while the little sister, Serena, grabbed onto LV Shu's arm and acted coquettishly. LV Shu felt that he had been appeased enough, so he calmed down and said, "Tell me, how are we going to obtain the blood? If we are going to use it, we can just use a syringe." Serena said tenderly while the little sister, Serena, went to prepare the syringe. LV Shu held onto the syringe with his hand. My heart feels so sour. This is my first time and I actually have to give myself a syringe. Should I poke the big sister or the little sister? Use mine. The little sister, Serena, said straightforwardly. In order to complete his honors mission, I, LV Shu, must complete it even if I have to clench my teeth. LV Shu could be seen picking up the syringe and his gaze became firm. He had an expression that seemed as if he was going to do something big. His left hand slowly lifted up Serena's nightgown, and after swallowing his saliva, the syringe on his right hand gradually reached over. When the 2 sisters saw LV Shu's actions, they were all stupefied. Serena could be seen crying out in surprise, then immediately covered her nightgown. What are you doing? LV Shu was a bit flustered. I'm drawing blood. Serena said petulantly, if you want to draw blood, then go ahead and draw blood. Why are you lifting up the little sister's nightgown? Where else do you want to draw blood from? Didn't I want to draw blood from there? LV Shu's face immediately turned red. This is so awkward. The little sister, Serena, said angrily, draw blood, you idiot. Chapter 492. The 2 sisters didn't believe her and said coquettishly, you baddie. LV Shu was helpless. In the end, the drawing of blood was still left to her sister. Her sister, Serena, was much better. Soon she drew a needle. After handing the blood to LV Shu, Serena said in a deep voice, LV Shu, don't lie to us. Don't worry. LV Shu won't lie to you. LV Shu stood up and promised. The 2 sisters nodded and were relieved. The younger sister, Serena, bit her lips and said shyly, LV Shu, when are you coming to draw blood next time? I mean that kind, pooh. LV Shu couldn't take it anymore and ran out of the bedroom. These 2 were really vampires. They were always thinking about their own blood. The 2 sisters in the bedroom were helpless. Sister, you scared LV Shu away again. Serena said gloomily. Serena pouted and said, I don't understand. Why is LV Shu so afraid of us? Isn't it because we are bloodlings? Serena was very disappointed. She thought LV Shu was disgusted by their identity. Serena didn't say anything. She was very depressed. LV Shu, who walked outside, immediately contacted his brother. The two decided to meet under the Yellow Flower Bridge. Under the Yellow Flower Bridge, a gust of wind blew, causing a green and a red cape to flutter. It was very funny. Brother, is this the purest blood? I don't think it's any different from chicken blood. Yi Hong looked at the glass needle and said in confusion. LV Shu raised his hand and slapped the back of his head. Idiot, all blood is the same. Pah! It broke. The green and red brothers were stunned. LV Shu shouted angrily, you can't even hold a needle properly. Don't you know it's hard for me to draw blood? Brother, if you didn't hit me just now, would I have broken it? Yi Hong was speechless. It's all your fault. Why are you still standing there? Go draw blood again. What else could LV Shu do? He could only run back. LV Shu, why did you come back? Have you thought it through? Serena said shyly. LV Shu was embarrassed. I came to draw blood. Stop it, my sister isn't here. If you draw my blood, she won't be happy. Serene tiptoed as if she wanted her sister to have her blood drawn together. No. I'm just drawing blood, the blood from my arm. LV Liang forcefully explained. Serene's face fell. She quietly walked to the side and gave him another syringe. Then she snorted. After obtaining the purest blood once again, LV Tao felt that it was much more important to complete his honors mission first. The two brothers met again under the Yellow Flower Bridge. LV Shu decided not to give it to her underlings this time. It would be safer to hold it in her hands. Did you find him? LV Shu decided to deliver the goods to him. Yi Hong shook her head. No. LV Liang was speechless. I haven't even found the person. Who am I supposed to give the blood to? I don't know, Yi Hong replied. LV Liang was in despair. Yi Hong patted her brother's shoulder to comfort him. Bang. The two brothers looked at the broken syringe and were dumbfounded. Big brother, don't blame me. You're the one who didn't hold on. Yi Hong disappeared after she finished speaking. Big brother's expression didn't look right. Yi Hong. Just you wait. LV Liang let out a mournful roar. Furthermore, the location where the syringe was broken was more or less the same. LV Shu once again came to the door of the bar's bedroom. The door was opened quietly. LV Shu, why are you here again? Selena asked curiously. Serene could be seen sitting on the sofa sullenly. I came to draw my blood. This time I bought a plastic syringe, it won't break. LV Shu had just bought a plastic syringe with 1 renminbi, and the bar owner almost called the police. Serene snorted, and you still think that we are vampires? You are the one who is sucking our blood. When did I think that you two are disgusted? You can't speak irresponsibly. LV Shu refuted without even thinking. Serene snorted once again, then why aren't you willing to touch us? It would be too hasty to say irresponsibly. After all, I am a proper man. Selena said, my sister and I are also proper women, we have never let other men hold our hands before. LV Shu felt that if he didn't shed 10% of his skin today, he would definitely not be able to get the third syringe. Can we draw my blood first? We can talk about this later, how about it? The two sisters sat on the sofa together and even their sitting posture was the same. They said at the same time, no. My little ancestors, can you not make a fuss? I will apologize to you after this. LV Shu wanted to grab onto his little brother and beat him up. Both times, it was all because of him, if not, how could he possibly suffer such a wish crime? No. The two sisters snorted. I LV Shu am not convinced by anyone but the two of you. Alright, what do you two want? Selena said shyly, agree to 2 of our conditions. Alright, you two speak. First, kiss us first. Serene snorted. If you don't kiss us, there won't be any blood. Do as you see fit. LV Shu was struggling in his heart. What if they suck my blood when I kiss them? Even if I want to suck my blood, I have no choice. After all, I am working for his honor, I cannot be careless. Alright. Hearing that LV Shu agreed, the two sisters blushed a little. They thought that LV Shu would resist. Yi Hua came to the two sisters' side. Right now, the two sisters had their beautiful eyes closed. LV Shu's heartbeat quickened a bit. Soon after, he made up his mind. If I die, then I die. Yi Hua suddenly hugged onto his little sister, Selena, and kissed her. The feeling is not bad, sweet, fragrant. Suddenly, LV Shu opened his eyes wide. A small tongue is actually looking for my big tongue, is it going to be sucked? This is so miserable. His honor. I'm going to die. Quickly come and save me. After a long while, Selena let go of LV Shu. LV Shu felt a bit dizzy. I definitely sucked quite a lot of blood just now. What about me? Selena said shyly. LV Shu, who was dizzy, already lost all desire to live, and thus he could only kiss Selena. Big sister Selena was still a lot more reserved. She only kissed Selena, that's all. After finishing this matter, LV Shu felt as if he was drunk. What is the other matter? Selena pulled onto her big sister, letting her big sister speak. Selena said, after this matter is over, you still have to come and draw your blood again. It's that kind of blood. Look, they are already addicted to it. They are planning to turn me into a blood donor. This is so miserable. Since things have come to this, I can only do this. Alright, I promise you too. The two sisters were delighted, and they immediately drew their blood for LV Shu. Standing outside of the bar, LV Shu looked at how beautiful the sunlight outside was. When the sunlight shone on his body, it felt warm and comfortable. This time LV Shu will properly store the tube of blood. I definitely can't break it again. Who knows what kind of excessive request they will make. If they want to do that to me, what should I do? Chapter 493. After contacting my little brother, I found out that this fellow actually didn't even go back to have lunch at noon, and is currently outside investigating. Are you afraid of the tigress at home? Poor little brother, marrying such a strong woman. LV Liang couldn't help but think of two vampires in her mind. In fact, they were quite gentle, not as strong as her sister-in-law. What am I thinking? I can't believe such a terrifying thought popped up in my head. While carrying this horrifying thought, LV Liang returned to the villa, and he saw that Zishan was currently cooking lunch. Seeing that little brother was able to marry such a virtuous wife, LV Liang felt very happy for little brother. Big brother, you're back. Zishan turned her head around and greeted Zishan. Logically speaking, Zishan's age should be on the same level as LV Liang's ancestor. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Her husband's big brother was her big brother. Zishan, it has really been hard on you. LV Shu also felt embarrassed. In the future, I will have to pay more living expenses to Zishan. Perhaps he would be able to move out soon and stop being a third wheel. CKMe. LV Liang, what the hell are you thinking? Why can't you get rid of this crazy idea in your mind? Are you really crazy? Who knew what kind of children they would give birth to if they were in the wrong race? That's not right. Su Xian even dared to do it with a snake, and she didn't give birth to any abnormalities. And what was that called again? It didn't even let off ghosts. Thinking of this, LV Shu felt a little better. Yihong didn't come back with you? Zishan looked around for a bit, but she didn't see that her husband had returned home. Yihong is still gathering information outside. LV Liang thought that her younger brother had told his wife. She didn't expect that he didn't say anything at all. This brat was quite tough. Wasn't he afraid that he would kneel on the keyboard tonight? Zishan answered. LV Liang could feel that her sister-in-law was very disappointed. Just a moment ago, Zishan was still very energetic when she was cooking, but now she suddenly became listless. LV Liang walked toward Zishan and said with a smile, Zishan, you go and take a rest, I'll do it. Big brother, you've been busy for the whole morning. I have nothing to do at home. You should go rest. Look, this brat really doesn't know what's good for him. His wife is so virtuous, yet he doesn't even come home for dinner. Could it be that they quarreled? Then, as the big brother, I have to adjust. Zishan, I grew up with Yihong as well. I know his character very well. LV Liang described with a sorrowful tone. This caused Zishan's heart to feel very heavy. Her husband is definitely not living a good life. LV Liang felt that her sister-in-law's expression was on point, so she continued, I remember that year we played pea in mud. I peed he in the mud. Zishan? However, when we grew up, we played house. He liked to call me daddy and I called him son. He had a lot of fun. Zishan? However, when he grew up, he recognized me as his big brother. I taught him how to perm his hair and we became world-shaking. Zishan clenched her fists tightly. So, my Yihong was led astray by you. If Yihong knew that big brother was talking to his wife about this, his expression would definitely be very pleasant. Zishan, I don't mean anything else by saying all these. Yihong has been very innocent since he was young. Everyone who knows him thinks that he is easy to bully. That's right, they are right, he is indeed easy to bully. Big brother, have you ever considered your little brother's image when you say all these? But Zishan, let me tell you that is not the case. Although Yihong is an honest man, he is still a man with dignity. He is also a good man who loves to help others. He often helps a goat cross the road. Big brother, don't say any more, I beg you. LV Liang let out a deep sigh. Yi Hong has never known who his father is since he was young. 10,000 points of damage landed on Yi Hong's chest. Fortunately, Yi Hong wasn't here. If not, his chest would definitely explode. I brought him up with a handful of shit and piss from his mother. When Zishan heard this sentence, why does it sound so weird? Yi Hong had already fainted in the toilet. Looking at Zishan's confused gaze, LV Liang knew that he had misspoken. His mother brought him up when he was inside and I brought him up when he was outside. LV Liang explained in detail. Big brother, can you please stop bringing him up? This little brother will kneel down in front of you. This child is quite lacking in self-confidence. The main reason is because of something that happened in elementary school. Big brother, are you trying to help me or are you trying to harm me? There is no need to talk about that dark history. What happened? Zishan asked gravely. "I first love." Zishan's expression froze for a moment. Yi Hong said that I am his first love. LV Liang was startled and hurriedly explained, what Yi Hong said isn't wrong, because that was a first love that ended before it even started. Yi Hong had already vomited blood and died in the toilet. Big brother, you are taking revenge on me. That love letter was written by me, but before Yi Hong was able to send it out, it was snatched away by a boy in class. Afterward, the boy ran to the rostrum and read the love letter out loud. From that time onwards, Yi Hong became autistic. Really, it is my fortune that Yi Hong wasn't at the scene. LV Liang let out a long sigh and looked outside the window. From that time onwards, Yi Hong doesn't seem to be interested in women anymore. Zishan, I suspected that he was gay for a long time until one day I found out that he was writing erotic books. At that time, I finally knew that little brother isn't gay, he is just a pervert on the inside. But Zishan, you don't have to care about these small details. Yi Hong is really good to you. In my opinion, Yi Hong only acted like this after mustering up his courage. In the past, he didn't even dare to look at other girls. Zishan pouted her mouth. He still doesn't dare to look at other girls now. Sister-in-law is indeed awesome. At the same time, Yi Hong is also a person who is easily hurt. With my understanding of him, right now he probably doesn't believe that he has a wife like you. He just wants to show off in front of you and prove that he is a useful man, a responsible man. Zishan, regardless of whether you believe it or not, I believe it. LV Liang inwardly added. Although sometimes, Zishan is unreliable. Zishan lightly sighed. After listening to LV Liang's words, Zishan also felt that her slip of the tongue had hurt Yi Hong's pride. LV Liang patted onto her sister-in-law's shoulder and said gravely, Zishan, Yi Hong is a good man, don't give him too much pressure. I didn't give him pressure, he is the one who gave himself pressure. Zishan bit onto her lips and said lightly, when did I give him pressure? LV Liang lightly coughed, little brother also told me a bit, you want to have a child. Is there anything wrong with me wanting to have a child? Zishan knitted her brows and asked. That's right, it is precisely because giving birth to a child gave Yi Hong pressure that he is afraid of. LV Liang said gravely. Afraid of what? Afraid that everything is just a dream because everything is too wonderful. Chapter 494. Zishan, don't worry, I will teach Yi Hong how to become a real man. Looking at LV Liang's resolute gaze, Zishan was a bit afraid. Forget it, let me be the one to turn Yi Hong into a real man. LV Liang? The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. LV Shu hurriedly went to the living room and sat down. He thought to himself, little brother, as your big brother, I can only help you up to here. There's still a long way to go. After dinner, Zishan said, big brother, come back early tonight, I will make Yi Hong's favorite braised fish. Alright, I'll drag you back even if I have to. Thank you, big brother. After leaving the house, LV Lu contacted her underling and asked where he was. I didn't expect my little brother to go to Mage. Not bad, he knows how to ask for help. According to the address given by his underling, LV Shu arrived at Long and City's Jingxiu Garden. I heard that this place is a luxurious residential area. Mage brother is really awesome, he is really rich. However, she was stopped by the security guards at the door because LV Lu didn't look like a good person. If someone who was green from head to toe appeared in front of you, you would have the same feeling. After confirming, LV Lu successfully entered. There was really no other way. After all, my big brother Green is a very polite person. It doesn't seem appropriate for him to fly directly to a mage's house. She pressed the doorbell and saw a mage master opening the door. LV Liang was surprised and immediately shouted, hello, mage master. So I come in. Death Mage said weakly. Because they were all Wei Chang's underlings, they were able to understand Death Mage's words. Walking into the mage's house, he saw all kinds of high-end goods. It was good to be rich. Back then, Sun Fang had obtained quite a lot of benefits from Ming family. Knowing that Death Mage loved to gamble, Sun Fang took control of all of Death Mage's assets. If it was given to Death Mage, all of Death Mage's assets would definitely be squandered away. As it turned out, Sun Fang's way of doing things was correct. If all of the money was in Death Mage's hands, how could the two of them possibly stay in this kind of place? He had long gone to the bottom of the chaotic heavenly bridge. "LV Liang, you're here. Have a seat. Go get me some water." It was no wonder that Sun Fang was a sect master-level woman. She was rather feminine. Moreover, she used to be the pride of the South. Her beauty was more than enough. It's just that LV Liang didn't expect that Mage Brother's position in the family was so, What else could Death Mage do? I have to serve this fleshy and ugly woman well before giving her money. I won't be able to live on any more. LV Shu hurriedly bowed and took the water that the mage handed over. It was hard to be a man. His underlings were like this, and so were his mages. They were the outstanding representatives of the team henpecked. "Sister-in-law, His Honor has recently given us two brothers a mission, and we still need sister-in-law's help to complete it," LV Liang said with a slight smile. "We are a team after all, so of course we have to help each other out." Sun Fang said with a slight smile, "LV Shu, just now Yi Hong has already told me everything. Don't worry, we are all people who serve His Honor. I have already sent my little disciple to go and scout around. If there is any news, I will inform you all." Right now, the Grandmaster of the Cloud sect was on rather good terms with Sun Fang. Therefore, he would naturally give her some face. Furthermore, this was a matter of eradicating evil, nothing else. "Thank you, sister-in-law, for your help. If you need our help in the future, please don't hesitate to ask." LV Liang was very touched. This was the feeling of family. This was the strength of a team. Sun Fang smiled sweetly. "Don't shirk away when the time comes, sister-in-law, don't worry." The two brothers sat for a while and felt that the atmosphere was a little strange, so they said goodbye. After the two brothers left, "My shoulders are a little sore." Sun Fang massaged her fragrant shoulders and murmured. Death Mage paused for a moment, then hurriedly ran behind Sun Fang. Reaching out his pair of bony hands, Death Mage lightly kneaded Sun Fang's body. "And not bad, it feels comfortable. Here, this is for you." Sun Fang took out her phone and sent 100 RMB to Death Mage. "I, the great Death Mage, have actually fallen to such a state. If I were to gamble again in the future, I will definitely cut myself in half." The two brothers walked into the elevator. LV Shu looked at his younger brother, who had not said a word, and asked curiously, "What's with that expression? You look so sad." "Sai, this mission is very difficult. After all, even His Honor is unable to find it." Yi Hong was a little disappointed. He felt that if he couldn't complete the task well, he wouldn't be able to answer to his wife. After all, he had promised that he would work hard. LV Liang put her arm around the shoulder of her little brother. "So, aren't you going back for lunch? I don't even have the face to meet Zishan anymore," Yi Hong murmured. In this relationship, Yi Hong is still not confident enough. His personality isn't something that can be changed just by using strength. Perhaps some people would explode with power and not even know what their surname is. However, the Green and Red brothers knew that this power was bestowed upon them by His Honor, and it wasn't obtained through their own hard work. Under normal circumstances, they would still live their lives like how they did in the past, and would only use their strength after receiving His Honor's order. LV Liang also knew about his younger brother's personality and consoled him. "Zishan is a good girl, don't let her down. I know, I am currently working hard to be an ideal man for her." "Yi Hong, have you ever thought that the person Zishan likes is the current you, and not the person you are imagining?" LV Liang said gravely. "This younger brother needs to be guided carefully, if not, he will fall into his own dead end." After hearing what LV Liang said, Yi Hong remained silent and thought silently. "Alright, don't look so sad. Let's go and relax in the afternoon, it's my treat." The corner of Yi Hong's mouth twitched. "Big brother, I am a person with a family right now." LV Liang raised his hand and slapped onto Yi Hong's head. "Scram, have a healthy mindset. At the very least, I am also a..." "Also what?" Yi Hong asked. "Nothing much," LV Liang said while stammering. "Big brother, did you fall in love with those vampire sisters?" Yi Hong grinned and said. His mood became a lot more cheerful. LV Liang snorted. "I will fall in love with them? Even if I, LV Liang, die outside and starve to death, I will still not fall in love with them." "So fragrant." LV Liang raised his hand and slapped onto Yihang's head again. Brat, now you know how to tease Big Brother. Big Brother, the vampire sisters are pretty good. Although this is a love that crosses races, but look at senior brother and sister-in-law, even though they don't speak the same language, aren't they still living quite well? Sister-in-law also didn't despise senior brother for being a skeleton. Love is borderless and can even cross races. Brat, I have to look at you in a whole new light now. Where did you learn that from? Haha, I am just expressing my feelings. Zishan and I are borderless. How can my world be the same as yours? What LV Liang said was a bit hypocritical. If I were to say that I don't like the vampire sisters, that would be a lie. But I have already said it before, I have already pretended to be cool. Am I going to slap my own face? LV Liang was very gloomy, not knowing how to deal with his relationship problems. He dragged his little brother to play games. Of course it wasn't chicken dinner. It was an arcade and the game they were playing was the King of Fighters 98. Wase. Ha, I dug a hole. Chapter 495. In a winery on the outskirts, Lord Gio was currently holding a goblet and sipping on a high-grade red wine. His tiny eyes were sparkling, and no one knew what he was thinking at this moment. Suddenly, the 8848 titanium phone in his pocket rang. Lord Gio hurriedly took out his phone and saw that his master had sent him a WeChat message. He wanted to see what it was about. In a while, you will receive a package and personally deliver it to this address, Long and City, Changlin Street, Immortal Jim's boss. Lord Gio hurriedly regained his confidence. Yes, master? Putting away the phone, Lord Gio chuckled. You guys have no idea how many masters I have. If one took a closer look, they would notice that there were more than 10 people in the contact list. Sure enough, not long after, Lord Gio's little brother received a package and handed it over to Lord Gio. Although Lord Gio was curious about the things in the bag, he wouldn't do anything stupid. As long as he did his job well, his master would naturally reward him. Calling for his lackeys to prepare the car, Lord Gio headed straight to the Immortal Gym. Half an hour later, they safely arrived at their destination. Lord Gio said indifferently, "You guys wait here." Yes. Holding the SF package, Lord Gio looked at the Immortal Gym on the 4th floor and took the elevator up. It happened to be the afternoon and there were many young men and women in the gym, all sweating profusely. There were also strong personal trainers teaching newbies to train their muscles. "Sir, do you need a fitness card?" A young lady respectfully walked to Gio Ye's side. She noticed that Gio Ye's bearing was extraordinary. With one look she could tell that he was a boss. She looked at him with her beautiful eyes, asking him to take care of her. Lord Gio was already used to it. There were too many people who wanted to get rich without working hard, especially these women. "I have something to discuss with your boss," Gio Ye said indifferently. His aura suddenly changed, causing the young lady to feel a little afraid. "I don't know if the boss is here." Lord Gio coldly snorted, "Ask your manager to come out." The young lady hurriedly ran away. This man was so fierce. Not long after, a well-built man in a suit walked over. "Are you looking for our boss?" "I'm here to deliver the package." Lord Gio wasn't afraid at all. If one had to be afraid, Lord Gio felt that only when he saw the boss of Leisure Bar would he feel this way. The man in the suit seemed to understand Lord Gio's intention. "Follow me." Lord Gio followed the man in the suit to the boss's office. He saw a man wearing a flowery shirt playing golf. However, looking at his swing, he was just a rookie. "He's here," the man in the suit said in a deep voice. The boss responded and the man in the suit immediately left the room. Lord Gio slowly walked over and said indifferently, "My master asked me to give this to you." Feng Tian ignored him and continued to swing the club with his uncoordinated body. This made Lord Gio a little unhappy, but he didn't act recklessly before figuring out his opponent's strength. After standing there for about 10 minutes, Feng Tian wiped his forehead with a towel and looked at Lord Gio. Lord Gio also saw Feng Tian's face. He was wearing a mask on the left side of his face. The material of the mask was unknown, but Lord Gio saw a golden pupil under the mask. Feng Tian stretched out his hand and did not say anything. Lord Gio handed the package to him and turned around intending to leave. "Don't you want to see what your master has sent?" Feng Tian sneered and sat on the sofa. Lord Gio's eyes narrowed. This guy was not simple. Since it's a gift from the master naturally has his reasons. As servants, we just need to do our job well. Feng Tian smiled disdainfully and said, "In this house, you are the only servant, and the gift from your master is to form an alliance with me." This information was a little too much. His master actually sent something to form an alliance. This man should be very strong. It was a slip of the tongue, I'm sorry. Lord Jiu hurriedly expressed his apology. This was also Lord Jiu's way of survival. He would speak the language of humans and speak the language of ghosts. Feng Tian also disdained to argue with ordinary people, so he ignored them. Lord Jiu left respectfully. Big brother, the man in the suit walked in and said respectfully. Feng Di, we have been searching for thousands of years. Finally it's all here. Feng Tian's eyes suddenly turned cold. The box in his hand instantly turned into powder, revealing a bright red thing that looked like a red ceramic tile. He flipped his left hand. A round blood plate appeared in his hand, but it was missing a corner. The corner was symmetrical to this piece of blood. That small piece of blood seemed to have found a companion as it emitted a dense blood glow. The blood plate seemed to have sensed the smell and the blood glow intensified. Bang! The small piece of blood automatically embedded itself into the blood plate. Feng Tian and Feng Di's eyes were filled with fanaticism as they knelt on the ground and worshipped. Blood demon above. The blood plate emitted a red glow that enveloped the entire room. Within the red glow, a human face slowly formed. It looked extremely ferocious and terrifying. Who are you? We are the people who serve the blood demon. Feng Tian shouted respectfully. You are not one of us. What is your motive? Feng Tian raised his head slightly and said coldly, to bring disaster to the world. The blood demon was stunned for a moment before he laughed maniacally. Good. What a good, bring disaster to the world. I like you. Feng Di almost spat out the last sentence. The blood demon's expression was too direct. Thank you for your praise, blood demon. Damn you, god of chaos. How dare you imprison me for so long? I will settle this score with you slowly. The blood demon let out an angry and deep roar. The hatred and resentment in his voice grew stronger and stronger, and the red glow became thicker and thicker. Feng Tian shouted respectfully, Blood demon, don't worry. We will definitely help the blood demon. Very good. Have you found the purest blood? Blood demon, don't worry, we will be able to find the whereabouts of the purest blood in less than a month. The blood demon laughed maniacally. Good, I have already endured for so many years, why would I care about a month? Look for it properly, I will not treat you unfairly. Thank you, blood demon. The blood demon shouted maniacally, and the red glow in the room gradually fused into the blood plate. Success. Feng Tian clenched his fist and said excitedly. Congratulations, big brother. Feng Di cupped his hands and congratulated. Feng Tian took a deep breath and calmed down the excitement in his heart. Right now, everyone's target is the purest blood. The purest blood. You must definitely find it for me. Yes. After Feng Di left, Feng Tian held onto the blood plate for a long time, and the golden pupils under the mask became even more distinct. These people were precisely the black-clothed men who exterminated Guan family. Yihua probably wouldn't know that these black-clothed men had disguised themselves as ordinary people and opened a gym. Furthermore, all of the trainers in the gym were black-clothed men. The purpose of doing this was to deceive others. On the other side, the green and red brothers sat in the game hall for an entire afternoon before leaving. Chapter 496. LV Liang grabbed his little brother and said, Don't say that big brother is not loyal, I said a lot of good things to you today, and I also promised Zishan to bring you back. Big brother. Stop messing around. Messing around your sister. You are a man, be magnanimous. Zishan cooked your favorite braised fish. LV Liang's face was filled with resentment. How dare you throw such a tantrum? Zishan is just being straightforward, she didn't do it on purpose. Hearing his big brother's words, Yi Hong did not struggle anymore. Originally he planned to go back after completing the mission. That way he would be more manly and he would be able to raise his head in front of Zishan. The two brothers sat on the bus and went back like a pair of gay friends. Coincidentally, it was also the time when school ended and everyone's gaze was on them. Of course, the two of them were no longer dressed like before, they looked a bit more stylish now, the kind that had a lot of personality. After stopping and walking for nearly 40 minutes, they finally arrived at the entrance of the villa. While walking towards the villa, Yi Hong was very nervous. I threw a tantrum at noon and didn't go back, will Zishan get angry? What kind of expression is that? Are you preparing to go to the execution ground or what? LV Liang laughed lightly. This little brother is actually afraid of his wife to this extent? Yi Hong let out a deep sigh. This was not fear, he was just afraid that Zishan would be disappointed in him. Especially that disappointed look in Zishan's eyes, it made Zishan seem like a useless person. After all, Zishan's previous identity was a deity. This was also a hurdle in Yihang's heart. Just like a loser who married Snow White, of course, he would think of ways to give the best to Snow White. Open the door, what are you blanking out for? LV Liang was really anxious. Look at me, I won't hesitate at all. Just how am I going to treat my sisters? It's so annoying. Yihang opened the door, changed into slippers, then walked into the house with his big brother. Zishan was sitting beside the dining table, and the dining table was filled with delicacies that Zishan had carefully prepared. The air was filled with the fragrance of the delicacies, causing people to drool. Perhaps it was because Zishan was thinking about something, she didn't notice the two of them entering the house. However, when Yihang saw Zishan like this, he felt that Zishan was so beautiful that it felt unreal. Even now, he was still suspecting that this beautiful girl was actually his wife, and she had even prepared a table full of delicacies for him. What did I do to deserve such treatment from you? Yihang felt even more ashamed. Zishan, we're back. LV Shu shouted out with a smile. Zishan, who was in a daze, came back to her senses. Soon after, she revealed a smile on her face and said, Husband, big brother, you two are back. Quickly sit down, I'll go and heat up the dishes. Zishan, don't be so busy. The dishes are still warm. LV Shu said with a smile, then poked the little brother beside him. Damn it, your wife is calling you. Say something. Zishan, thank you. Zishan, thank you. How could you be so polite to your wife? Needless to say, Yihang had always been very polite and courteous to Zishan, and had never crossed the line. Take a seat. I'll go get some rice. Would you like some wine? Zishan was also fawning over her husband in every possible way, but what she didn't know was that her actions made Yihang feel even more ashamed, and Yihang felt that he was not worthy of being fawned over. If Shan were that, Liang would Yihang would of Shan of. Eat. Of. Oh, okay. Zishan prepared everything and even personally poured wine for her husband and big brother. To LV Liang, he was really satisfied with this sister-in-law of his. Zishan is virtuous and sensible, and my vampire sisters are also not bad. Just what is wrong with me? I thought of my vampire sisters again. Come, let's have a toast first. LV Liang raised his wine cup and said with a smile. Zishan raised her wine cup with a smile on her face. Yihang's mood was a bit heavy, but he still raised his wine cup. LV Liang and Zishan both took a small sip of their wine, while Yihang took a sip of his wine. Yihang's face was sunken, and he had a very unhappy look on his face. LV Liang gave a signal with his eyes. This little brother is stupid, right? Zishan is already acting like this and you are still acting like this? You must be crazy. Zishan smiled gently and didn't take it to heart. She reached out her hand and placed a piece of fish meat into her husband's bowl. Yihang, your favorite braised fish. If it was yesterday night, Yihang might be very happy. But now, looking at the tender fish meat in his bowl, Yihang felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Zishan treated me so well, yet I didn't even manage to do anything for her to see. Furthermore, right now, I am just like a headless fly that is running around aimlessly. I didn't even manage to meet his honor's expectations at all. Not only did I let down his honor, I also let down Zishan. Both of them are people that treat me so well, yet I am so stupid. Thinking up to here, Yihang took the wine bottle and poured himself a glass of wine, then drank it in one gulp. Then he continued pouring himself a glass of wine, then drank it again. Yihang, what are you doing? LV Liang's expression tensed up as he shouted out. Is this how a husband should act? Zishan had been busy cooking for an entire afternoon, and not only did you not give her a good look, you are even drinking like this. Zishan, who was sitting beside LV Liang, wrinkled her eyebrows, and her smile gradually disappeared. I have already compromised a lot. I have already made your favorite food, why are you still acting like this? However, right now, Yihang actually started drinking while facing the white wine. LV Liang couldn't bear to watch this anymore and snatched the white wine bottle over. Big brother, what are you doing? Yihang said with a red face. In actuality, when they aren't using their strength, they are the same as ordinary people. They can control themselves and get drunk whenever they want to. LV Liang said gravely, what am I doing? What are you doing? Who are you doing this for? Big brother, give me the wine. Yihang stretched out his hand and said gravely. How could LV Liang possibly give the wine to Yihang? Who knows what kind of crazy words this idiot will say? I don't know if he will anger his wife and drive her away. Big brother, give him the wine. Zishan said faintly. Hearing that, LV Liang had a bad feeling. Without a choice, he could only give the wine to Zishan. However, he didn't leave. If the two of them were to fight, he would still be able to persuade them. Yihong took the wine and began drinking again. Very quickly he became dizzy. Yihong, if you have anything that you are unhappy about, just say it. In front of Big Brother. Zishan said. Zishan was a bit unhappy in her heart. Yihong laughed lightly with a trace of disdain. This disdain seemed to be a form of pity towards others. Right now, Yihong was thinking, Zishan only became my wife because she felt that I am pitiful. Who would be willing to become my wife? That is impossible. Yihong, what is the meaning of this? Zishan suddenly stood up and asked. LV Liang hurriedly persuaded, Zishan, if you have something to say, then say it nicely. This brat is drunk, he will definitely talk nonsense. Yihong laughed with the help of the wine. Nonsense, I won't talk nonsense. Fine. Then say it. Zishan shouted. Chapter 497. LV Liang was startled. Zishan was also startled. She didn't expect that Yihong would actually say such a thing. After all, Yihong rarely did such a thing. Zishan's beautiful eyes immediately turned red, and she tightly clenched her fists. Their relationship was full of twists and turns. If it wasn't you who died, then it was me who died. Logically speaking, this kind of relationship that had gone through death should be everlasting. If other factors were ignored, this kind of relationship could indeed be everlasting. However, Yihong was born in the countryside, and other than being close to his big brother, he didn't have the chance to come into contact with anyone else. Even if he had powerful strength now, he still couldn't get rid of this kind of inferiority. In today's mission, Yihong knew that he was lacking and he couldn't do anything about it. After returning home, Zishan still tried to please him in every possible way. The strong sense of guilt made Yihong feel that he was useless and unworthy of being cared for. The negative emotions immediately erupted. Why would there be negative emotions? It was because Zishan had always been very strong in front of Yihong. Strong to the point that Yihong thought that Zishan was showing off her identity as a deity, but he didn't say anything. But now that he said everything out, he felt very happy. Zishan felt very heartache. When did I ever ask you for anything? For you, I didn't hesitate to kill everyone in the Marquis' mansion. Could it be that I, Zishan, still care about those empty things? I also didn't expect that in your heart, I am actually such a woman. Said Yihong. Hurry up and apologize to Zishan, look at how drunk you are. Zishan, don't take it to heart, this fellow is just an idiot. The word, idiot from Big Brother immediately touched Yihong. That's right. I am an idiot, so idiotic that I can't do anything well, so idiotic that I think that you like me, so idiotic that I think that after going through all these things, we can be together forever. Hearing Yihong's roar, Zishan placed her hands on the dining table, then looked at Yihong with her beautiful red eyes and asked, could it be that you think that I don't like you? Yihong laughed bitterly, you are a deity and I am just a wild brat from the countryside. My strength was bestowed to me by his honor. If I didn't have all these, I would just be a passerby to you, and you wouldn't like me at all. Yihong, you disappoint me too much. Zishan shouted miserably and tears flowed out from her eyes. Her heart was hurt by Yihong and Yihong was also hurt by her. Yes, I will only disappoint you. I can't do anything great and I can't become the man you want me to be. As Yihong laughed, tears flowed down her cheeks. She was just a pheasant. No matter how much she changed, she would never be able to become a phoenix. Zishan asked gravely, then what do you want? Zishan, let's get a divorce. After saying that, Yihong felt that her entire body had loosened up. Because he had a wife like Zishan, Yihong felt a bit suffocated. As for Zishan, she looked at Yihong in disbelief. Never would she have thought that Yihong would ask for a divorce. How was he lacking? What did he do wrong? What right do you have to ask for a divorce from me? Zishan, who was enraged, grabbed onto Yihong's collar with both of her hands, and her beautiful face was filled with tears. Looking at Zishan, who was in such a state, Yihong laughed bitterly, I am indeed not qualified. You are a god and I am just a mortal. We are people from different worlds. The big brother who was standing at the side already felt that he couldn't get a word in. It's over. Zishan stared at Yihong, who had an indifferent look on her face, and her face became terrifyingly gloomy. Yihong's back slammed into the wall behind her, and a crack immediately appeared. All right. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. After finished speaking, Zishan ran out of the house while holding onto her face. LV Shu looked at his underling, then looked outside the door and was a bit at a loss. Meanwhile, Yi Hong patted on his clothes and let out a breath of relief. Then he sat back down and ate the piece of fish that was in his bowl. This might be the last thing that I will eat that Zishan made. While eating, tears flowed out from the corner of Yi Hong's eyes. In actuality, I shouldn't have had any thoughts about Zishan from the very start, because the difference between my and Zishan's identity is too big, to the point that I don't even dare to have any extravagant hopes. LV Shu sat down as well, poured himself a cup of wine, then drank it in one gulp, then said, "Is there something wrong with your brain? Big brother, don't you think that Zishan is too perfect? That I am not worthy of her at all?" In the beginning, LV Shu did think that way, but after going through those things, he felt that the two of them could still be together. The prerequisite was to abandon their previous identities. After all, the difference between them was too big. LV Shu said gravely, "Yi Hong, think about it carefully. The marriage between you and Zishan was decided by his honor. If you were to get a divorce, do you know the consequences? If you were to divorce, I'm afraid that something would happen to you and Zishan. It doesn't matter to you, but have you ever thought about Zishan? Right now she is already homeless." Big brother's words startled Yi Hong. "That's right. My marriage is decided by his honor. If I were to divorce, wouldn't I be throwing away his honor's face? If his honor gets angry, it doesn't matter if I am to suffer, but if I were to implicate Zishan, if that happens, I would be a sinner. No. This marriage cannot be divorced. As expected, I am stupid to death. I actually didn't think about this." "What are you waiting for?" LV Shu shouted. Without even thinking, Yi Hong chased after Zishan. However, Zishan was already long gone. After looking around, Zishan's figure was still nowhere to be found. Yi Hong walked back home helplessly. "She's gone. Do you really want a divorce that much?" LV Shu asked gravely. "Big brother, do you really think that Zishan and I are compatible?" Yi Hong asked back. LV Shu didn't say anything. To be honest, Zishan is indeed very perfect. She is like a person from a completely different world from my little brother. The two of them didn't say anything and sat at the dining table while drinking. Suddenly, a voice rang out in Yi Hong's mind. "Come over here." Hearing his honor's ice-cold order, Yi Hong knew that Zishan went to look for his honor. What happened? Seeing that there was something wrong with his little brother's expression, LV Shu asked hurriedly. Yi Hong was rather calm right now. "Zishan went to look for his honor. His honor wanted me to go over." "She went to his honor's place so quickly? My God. You foolish brat, don't act recklessly. His honor has put in a lot of effort for you and Zishan." LV Shu persuaded gravely. "I hope that this little brother of mine won't have a cramp again. If he were to say something that angered his honor, even the gods wouldn't be able to save him." Yi Hong nodded his head, "And I understand." After finished speaking, Yi Hong disappeared from the villa. On the other side, inside the office on the second floor of Leisure Bar, mournful crying sounds rang out beside his ears. Furthermore, it wasn't just one person crying, it was three people who were hugging each other and crying bitterly. Brett was thirsty from playing games, so he came out to drink a bottle of wine. Suddenly, he heard crying sounds coming from the office, so he came over to take a look. When he came across Zishan, who was similarly hurt by love, Zishan immediately hugged onto Zishan and cried. Meanwhile, Qing Yutong came out to look for Brett, and seeing that Zishan and Zishan were crying, Qing Yutong also started crying. "Qing Yutong, there isn't a single man that is good. Brett, there isn't a single man that is good." Chapter 498. Hearing that, Yihua almost choked. "This sister-in-law of mine only knows how to mess things up." Yihua shouted out gravely, "Qing Yutong, why are you making a fuss?" Qing Yutong wiped away her tears and snot, then shouted while crying, "This atmosphere is here, I was just casually shouting." Woo woo woo, the three women once again let out an earth-shattering wail, and Yihua felt that his entire body wasn't feeling good. I should just go and live in Voidless Realm for this period of time. This place of his was about to become a desolate place. Right when the three women were crying, Yi Hong's figure appeared in the office, and Yi Hong hurriedly knelt down in front of Yihua. "Qing Yutong, smelly man. Brett, stinky man. Zishan, stinky man." Yihua said coldly, "The two of you get out of here, go and play your games." Qing Yutong and Brett held hands and said, "We are going to judge this stinky man together." Scram. Yihua shouted coldly. Qing Yutong and Brett paused, then immediately said, "All right." After Qing Yutong and Brett left, Yihua stared at the two with a sunken face. The matter regarding absolute heaven and Brett is already very troublesome. He didn't expect that Yi Hong and Zishan would also put on a show. Do you think that I'm very free? Or do you still feel that I, the Supreme Overlord, am getting easier and easier to talk to? Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette butt and sat on the sofa, not even taking a look at the two of them. Zishan was currently half kneeling on the ground and sobbing, while Yi Hong was kneeling on the ground and had her head lowered. When the two of them heard that his honor had gotten angry, both of them immediately became silent. They were both afraid that his honor would kill the other party out of anger. Your Honor, Yi Hong is bullying me, saying that I'm not a woman here and not a woman there. I can't continue living like this anymore. Zishan cried bitterly. Just thinking about it made Zishan's heart break. I have done my best for Yi Hong, but I never expected that Yi Hong would say such hurtful words to me. Yi Hong did not refute. She lowered her head in silence. After hearing that, Yi Hua said coldly, since you hate him so much, then go ahead and kill him. When Zishan heard that, she cried even louder. How could she bear to do that? Yi Hong, you said that you want to divorce Zishan, right? Yi Hua asked gravely while looking at Yi Hong, who had her head lowered. I, the Supreme Overlord, was the one who presided over your marriage, and this is also the first time I am presiding over your marriage for my little brother. It has only been a few months and you two are already asking for a divorce? Isn't this the same as slapping my face? In the future, none of those subordinates would dare to let me host their wedding. Yi Hong hurriedly said, Your Honor has misunderstood, there is no such thing. Are the two of you toying with me? Yi Hua shouted out angrily. These people are getting more and more daring. I don't dare. Yi Hong pressed her forehead against the ground. When Yi Hua heard Zishan's cries, he became a bit impatient. Enough. Don't cry. Although Zishan had stopped crying, she was still choking with sobs. Her delicate shoulders were slightly shaking, and she felt as if she had suffered a huge grievance. Yi Hong's heart ached when she heard this. Tell me, what do you two want? There's nothing that death can't solve. The two of them fell silent again. How could they possibly wish for each other to die? In fact, it was just a small quarrel between a young couple. It was very normal. However, for the two of them to come and look for Yi Hua for such a small matter, they shouldn't be looking for Yi Hua. Seeing that the two of them didn't speak, Yi Hua said gravely, How about this? The two of you should separate for a period of time first and calm down. Don't come and look for me for everything. I don't have time to care about your family matters. Zishan choked with sobs and said, Your Honor, I know my mistake. Seeing that Zishan's attitude of admitting her mistake was still all right, Yi Hua's anger calmed down a bit. Yi Hong, how is the matter going? Your Honor, please be at ease, subordinate will definitely settle the matter. What if the matter isn't settled? Subordinate will apologize with my death. Yi Hong kowtowed and said. Yi Hua sneered, Good. You have a lot of backbone, I am looking forward to your performance. Zishan, who was at the side, looked at Yi Hong blankly. I really want to give him a slap. Don't you think before you speak? If you die, what's the point of letting me live alone? Zishan, you stay here for this period of time. Yi Hong, you go and settle the matter. Remember what you said. This time I am serious. Yes. Subordinate will definitely not disappoint Your Honor. Yi Hong said gravely. If I don't settle this matter properly, I won't have the face to be His Honor's subordinate, and I won't have the qualifications to be Zishan's husband. Go. Yes. Following after Yi Hong left, Zishan immediately sat on the ground. Yi Hua took a look at Zishan, then disappeared from his office. This place is too annoying, it is better for me to go to Voidless Realm and have some peace and quiet. My leisure bar has already become a shelter for married women. Yi Hua arrived at his daughter's courtyard and Dong Huangli could be seen rushing out of her room. Daddy, Yi Hua carried his daughter into his embrace. Ali, Daddy, Ali misses you. His daughter's words made Yi Hua, who was gloomy, feel a lot happier. Yi Hua temporarily tossed aside the trivial matter between his subordinates. To come and look for me just because of a small conflict, who do I look for when I have a conflict with them? Didn't you just gather your subordinates and think of a solution? Ali, where's Mommy? Yi Hua asked. Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth. Mommy and Mommy Ching are still discussing things, they don't have time to accompany Ali. Let's go, Daddy, bring Ali to look for Mommy. All right. Yi Hua carried his daughter and walked towards the Empress's bedroom, and his path was smooth and unobstructed. Looking at the brightly lit bedroom, Yi Hua let out a light sigh. It's just a small matter, is there a need to work so hard? Yi Hua pushed open the door. Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji, who were inside the bedroom, went into a daze. In the entire voidless realm, who would dare to push open the door with such strength, other than husband? Yihua, why did you come? Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji asked at the same time. Dong Huangli said obediently, Daddy misses mommy, so I came. You child. Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly, then carried her daughter into her embrace and kissed her, making Ali extremely happy. Meanwhile, Yihua let out a sigh, expressing that he was very vexed. Qinya pressed Yihua onto the chair, then stood behind Yihua and lightly massaged him. What's wrong? What happened to make my man sigh like this? It's subordinate's trivial matter. Yihua said faintly. Did Brett cause trouble again? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Dong Huangli asked curiously, Aunt Brett is actually quite pitiful, Uncle Ju Tian is too heartless. Child, what do you know? Dong Huang Baiji pinched onto her daughter's face. Don't look at how Ali is young, she actually knows everything. Yihua's words caused the three adults to reveal a smile on their faces. Ali was just like a happy fruit, she would reveal a smile when everyone was in a heavy mood. After coaxing Ali, Yihua put her back to sleep. The two wives leaned onto Yihua's embrace and enjoyed this moment of peace. Speak, what's wrong? We might be able to help you come up with an idea. Qinya smiled tenderly. Chapter 499. Hearing that, Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze. Qinya asked tenderly, It can't be, I feel that they are quite good, why would they want a divorce? That's right, it couldn't be that Zishan wants a divorce, right? Dong Huang Baiji said. Even Dong Huang Baiji felt that it was Zishan who proposed the divorce. From this, it could be seen how much she did not think highly of Yihong, because Yihong had always been very careful. That kind of gentle man doesn't seem like the kind of man who would propose a divorce. You all guessed wrong this time, the divorce was proposed by Yihong. Yihua said. Qinya muttered, Does Yihong have such guts? It seemed that Yihong's nickname of being a henpecked husband was real. Perhaps, it's because the pressure that Zishan is giving me is too big. Yihua said. As a man he was still able to somewhat understand. Dong Huang Baiji nodded her head. Dong Huang Baiji said, That's right, Zishan was a deity in the past and Yihong's birth wasn't that good. If the two of them were to be together they would more or less have some differences. Their disagreement is about children. Yihua laughed lightly, feeling rather speechless. Yihong can be considered to be very stubborn, such a beautiful wife is begging for a child, and yet he actually doesn't want to give it to her. I, the Supreme Overlord, am very optimistic about this kind of man. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji were a bit puzzled. Yihua explained faintly, This Zishan wants to have a child and Yihong wants to have a child after making a career, and Zishan is forcing Yihong to have a child every single day. Meanwhile, Yihong wants me to give him a mission, and it just so happens that I have a mission for him this time, and I will give it to the two brothers to do it. Perhaps the result might not be satisfactory. Qinya said in a low voice, This Yihong is not bad, he wants to establish a business for Zishan to see. Even if Zishan doesn't have a family, Zishan also has other choices. This should also be the reason why Yihong isn't willing to give birth to a child, right? Zishan is indeed very thoughtful. Dong Huang Baiji said. Yihua laughed lightly, If I were to say, would this child be able to run away after giving birth to Zishan? This Yihong is so stubborn. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji rolled their eyes at their husband. Of course you men think like this, as long as you get the hang of it, it doesn't matter anymore. Qinya snorted. That's right, that's right. Dong Huang Baiji echoed. Yihua said gravely, Did I not care about you too? After finished speaking, Yihua carried the two of them and walked towards the bed, planning to have a threesome. Yihua put me down. The two girls were extremely bashful. They became like this just because they didn't get along. They were getting more and more perverted. We are already an old husband and wife, so what if we sleep together? Yihua planned to forcefully push her down tonight. If not, when would he have to wait? The two wives looked at each other, and Qinya hugged onto Yihua's neck and kissed him. This caused the hand that was holding onto Dong Huang Baiji to loosen slightly, and Dong Huang Baiji took the opportunity to slip away. After separating from each other, Yihua looked at Qinya, who was blushing red, and said faintly, You are quite loyal to your friends. I'll stay with you longer tonight. All night. It's up to you if you don't feel sorry for me. Yihua laughed, then stretched out his index finger and slid it across Qinya's delicate face. You are truly becoming more and more adorable. Looking at her husband's passionate gaze, Qinya smiled sweetly. She closed her beautiful eyes and once again offered her red lips to express her love. On the other side, Yi Hong returned to the villa in a daze. Her mind was a mess and she could not think straight. How's the situation? LV Shu hurried over and asked. Yi Hong let out a sigh of relief, then said softly, I have given a military order in front of his honor. LV Liang's face stiffened. She raised her hand and slapped him. When we were young, I always thought that you were lacking something in your brain. I didn't expect that it still hasn't been reconnected. Yi Hong rubbed the back of her head and smiled bitterly. I won't be able to connect them in this lifetime. How's your wife? His honor told us to split up and calm down. Zishan will be staying at his honor's place during this period of time. It's good that you guys are apart for a period of time. You can both calm down. LV Liang exhaled. This was also good. She could carefully think about how to get along with him. Big brother, it is better for us to think of a way to settle his honor's matter. Lu nodded her head. The most important thing right now is to complete the task that his honor had given me. This way my little brother will be able to feel a bit more comfortable. But now he had no clue at all. What could he do? After a moment of silence, Yi Hong asked, Big brother, since we can't find them, let them find us. LV Liang was confused. Didn't they want the purest blood? Why don't we ask Uncle Wei to help us and spread out the news that we have the purest blood? LV Liang went into a daze for a moment, then patted Yi Hong's head again. Brat, you have become a bit more intelligent. Big brother, you were the one who patted my head. Yi Hong said helplessly. Big brother, do you know that I am patting you to wake you up? If not, how would you be able to think of such a method? But the two of us, how do we look like people who have the purest blood? Yi Hong said vexedly. Could it be that two grown men possess the purest blood? Even an idiot wouldn't believe that. LV Liang pondered for a moment, then said, Let's go and look for Uncle Wei. Uncle Wei will definitely have a way. Alright, we can only look for Uncle Wei to help us. After finished speaking, the two prepared to look for Wei Chang for help. When Wei Chang heard the two's suggestion, he felt that it was feasible. Since the other party isn't going to appear, I will just lure them to appear. Not only did Wei Chang agree to the two brothers' request, he even asked Ying family's secret agent to spread out the news. This will be perfect. After the two brothers returned from Wei Chang's house, they were in a daze. Little brother, isn't this too rash? LV Liang said in a deep voice. The current LV Liang had already changed. She had a beautiful female face, long green hair, and looked very flirtatious. In addition to that unique voice, she was truly a beauty. Yi Hong was the same. She had a head of fiery red hair, an angelic face, and firm chest muscles. Coupled with that perfect body, there was simply nothing to nitpick about. Yi Hong looked at the big brother's appearance and couldn't help but nod. It is indeed a bit too rash. What if I can't change back? LV Liang said in a deep voice. Yi Hong swallowed his saliva and reached out to touch his crotch. Instantly his expression changed drastically. Seeing the little brother's appearance, the big brother also touched it, and his expression immediately darkened. Fuck, it's all your good idea. I'm not even married yet. There are still two young sisters of the blood tribe waiting for me to draw their blood. LV Liang immediately pounced over. However, even the air was sealed. LV Liang's hands were pressed against the little brother's chest. The two brothers stared at each other as if it was real. Yi Hong immediately covered his chest with both hands and said in disbelief, Big brother, what are you doing? Sorry, I didn't adjust myself. LV Liang immediately stood up. Chapter 500. After calming down for a long time, the two brothers still hadn't come back to their senses. Yi Hong couldn't help but say, Big brother, let's hurry up and complete the mission. Uncle Wei, this is too realistic. That's true. Let's hurry up and complete the mission. What about changing clothes? Wearing your wife's clothes? That's the only way. As she spoke, Yi Hong walked into the bedroom and picked out two sexy and revealing clothes. Although they weren't branded, it was fine as long as they looked good. It didn't take long for the two of them to change their equipment. Yi Hong was wearing a tight red dress that wrapped tightly around her body. That little dress was so short that it reached her thighs. Now that Yi Hong wore such a dress, it was really hot. LV Lu was wearing a tank top and a pair of jeans that were as big as a palm. Her long and slender legs were exposed to the air, making her look extremely sexy. LV Lu couldn't help but say, Little brother, why haven't I seen your wife wear it before? It's quite sexy. Yi Hong's face darkened when she heard her brother's words. Her eyes seemed to be asking, Brother, are you interested in my wife? LV Ju felt that he had said something wrong and hurriedly explained, There is no misunderstanding. How is it possible for Big Brother to like your wife? Big Brother is a man with a woman. Hearing her big brother's words, Yi Hong ridiculed, Big Brother, you finally admitted it? Blood clan sisters are pretty good at the very least compared to Zishan. Speaking of Zishan, Yi Hong became silent. Lu patted her little brother's shoulder. No matter what, Zishan is still your wife. Even if she is a bit overbearing, that is still her personality. In the future she will slowly change. You shouldn't hurt her heart like that. After listening to Zishan's words, Yi Hong remained silent. Zishan's domineering attitude gave her a lot of pressure, and she really couldn't get over it. However, this doesn't mean that she doesn't like Zishan. Alright, Big Brother, let's hang out outside for the next few days. LV Lu laughed and said, Then you have to call me Big Sister. Don't let it slip. Alright, Big Sister. Little Sister is so obedient. The two brothers were silent for a moment. They immediately turned around and retched. It was too disgusting. In these 2 days the two sisters mingled in various big bars in Long'an City, causing quite a stir. These green and red sisters suddenly became the social butterfly of Long'an City. As long as the two sisters were at a place, there would be many people who would go and admire them. What the two sisters were doing was to attract those mysterious people, and then deliver themselves to their doorstep. There was no one else who could do this as a courier. In the land of desolation, Yi Hua wasn't at home, and the 4 women had formed a team to eat chicken dinner. Right now, even Zishan had been led astray by Yi Hua. However, Zishan was merely using the game to relieve her stress. After the 4 women finished off the last man, they successfully got the chicken dinner. Then he stretched his shoulders. A ray of light flashed past Qing Yutong's eyes. Going out to have fun? When Zishan and Bright heard that, they felt that it was possible. Yizizi yawned and said, You guys go ahead. I have to go to class tomorrow. Right now, Yizizi was already a good student. That means that she is extremely obedient, which means that Yi Hua's teachings are still useful. Yutong, where are we going to play? Bright asked lazily. Zishan pursed her lips and said in melancholy, That's right, where are we going? Let's go take revenge on that man. Qing Yutong said sneakily. When Bright and Zishan heard that, their eyes instantly lit up, especially when they heard the words take revenge on men. It ignited the fury in their hearts. Bright and Zishan were not normal women. When they become fierce, they would kill their entire family. Yizizi hugged onto her society pig and sighed, Women? Speaking as if I am not a woman. While speaking, Qing Yutong took out her sexiest clothes generously. When the 3 women who were extremely beautiful wore those clothes, men would definitely stand up respectfully. Qing Yutong clenched her fist and said confidently, Let's go. Let those men go and suffer. Bright, kill them. Zishan, chop them to death. Yizizi hugged onto her doll, Like this, no one will want you guys in the future. When the 3 women walked downstairs, Wei Chang took a doubtful look at them, but he did not say anything. After all, they are his honor's sister-in-law, and it is very possible for them to become his honor's wife in the future. However, looking at how they are dressed, they don't seem to be going out to eat supper, and instead they seem to be going out to seduce men. Tang Wei, who was at the side, pouted, Uncle Wei, what are you looking at? Oh, nothing. Tang Wei said tenderly, Uncle Wei, I also have that kind of clothes, do you want to take a look? Don't, the weather has been cold recently, you will catch a cold, remember to wear more clothes. Tang Wei, after getting onto the Audi A8, the 3 women directly headed towards the city. Of course they wouldn't go to the bar at the side, that would be too boring. Yutong, let's go to that bar to kill men. Bright's hands were already itching, and upon thinking about Zhu Tian, he would gnash his teeth. Meanwhile, Zishan had a gloomy face. Tonight I am going to kill 10 scumbags. The corner of Qing Yutong's mouth twitched. I feel that I brought out 2 female killing gods. That brother-in-law said, We are all legal citizens and we will definitely not randomly kill people. We are just going to go and torture some men, the kind that has their testicles burst. Don't be too ruthless. What the F***? This is even more ruthless than killing them. The 3 women chose a rather big WDO nightclub. There will definitely be men who don't want their testicles there. Meanwhile, in the WDO nightclub, the 2 sisters were already flirting with each other. LV Ju and Yi Hong could be seen crazily twisting their waists on the dance floor. At this moment, the 2 of them were already completely immersed into the dance floor, and even their high heels were stepped on beautifully, turning into enchanting beauties. Meanwhile, beside the sisters, a large group of men surrounded them and cheered, whistling continuously. After finishing a round of hot dance, the two sisters walked to the side of the bar, and naturally, there would be men who would treat them to drinks. "Big sister, how about having skewers tonight?" The handsome man at the side was salivating. "This is simply a top-grade woman. This chest of hers is so big that it can smash a watermelon right." Yi Hong licked the scarlet cocktail and hinted at it crazily, causing the little handsome man to feel ashamed of himself. LV Ju immediately gave the little handsome man a slap. "Little brother is too engrossed in acting, looking at me. I only stuck out my tongue and spun it around." The little handsome man was already about to explode. These two big sisters are simply too much. Suddenly, whistling sounds rang out from the direction of the entrance, and the two sisters immediately looked over, and the little handsome man also looked over. The lighting technician was also very supportive. He immediately shone the big lights over. Three devastatingly beautiful big sisters could be seen walking over slowly. That arrogant appearance and cold and arrogant temperament attracted everyone's attention. These three big sisters are practically the darling of the heavens. Chapter 501. Everyone's eyes followed the white lights. The three women did not have the slightest stage fright. Their beautiful faces and sexy figures moved everyone present. The most important thing was the temperament of the three women. This was what men should conquer. The two sisters who were treated coldly were shocked. "Why would your wife come to such a place?" LV Liang exclaimed in admiration as he looked at Zishan, who was one of the three women. "Zishan is dressed so sexily, I reckon that even my little brother has never seen her before." Yi Hong was speechless. Seeing his little brother's state, the big brother hurriedly explained to Zishan, "Little brother, don't panic. Zishan is a good woman. She will definitely not come to a bar to look for a man." Originally, Yi Hong didn't think blindly, but after being reminded by her big brother, her heart immediately felt heavy. Zishan is actually here to look for a man as expected. Yi Hong, calm down. Perhaps Zishan is too bored and came out to relax. Can't you see that his honor's sister-in-law is also here? He's definitely not here to mess around. LV Liang's reminder made Yi Hong feel much better. That's right, his honor's sister-in-law is also here. My wife is definitely not like what I think she is. Suddenly LV Liang frowned. She saw three men in suits walk in. "Big brother, what's wrong?" Yi Hong asked when she saw her big brother's strange expression. "Those three men are weird," LV Liang said in a low voice. A woman's intuition told her, "Oh no," a man's intuition told her that these three men might be the men she was looking for. Oh, why did she want to find a man? It was the group of people he was looking for. Yi Hong was startled. "Big brother, you can't be saying that those three men are?" "Very likely. Let's wait and see." In actuality, the two brothers' quest was very difficult. Just like Death Mage's quest back then, it wasn't the kind of quest where they had to kill each other. Instead, they sent the purest blood into the hands of the other party in a reasonable manner. They couldn't even let the other party notice anything amiss. This was truly a severe test for the two brothers. Feng Di was one of the three men. These few days, there was a rumor that the purest blood had appeared in Long'an City. This was great news for Feng Tian and Feng Di. When luck came, it couldn't be stopped. According to the intel, it was a woman in green and a woman in red. Recently, they had been wandering around various nightclubs. Tonight, Feng Di received the news and came to observe. Who knew that as soon as he came in, he would see three outrageously beautiful women. Such stunning beauties were really rare. If he could catch them for his big brother to play with, his big brother would be very happy. With this thought in mind, Feng Di followed Qin Yutong and the other two women towards the second floor. "Big brother, what should we do?" "Those three men didn't see us. Furthermore, he is following Zishan," Yi Hong said nervously, while her gaze was sneaking a peek at the second floor. LV Liang also felt that the situation wasn't good. Why did his honor's sister-in-law suddenly appear here? Furthermore, this is the first time that there is a clue regarding his honor's sister-in-law. Let's wait and see first. LV Liang held his temper and did not rush forward. Yi Hong nodded. Let's take a look first. On the second floor, Qin Yutong brought along Brett and Zishan and sat down. However, before the three of them even had time to speak, three men appeared in front of them. "Beautiful ladies, I don't know if I have the honor to have a drink with you." Feng Di leaned forward slightly, acting like a gentleman. The prey has taken the bait. The corner of the three's mouth curled up into a smile. Of course, this wasn't a smile that was meant to show goodwill. However, in Feng Di's eyes, The three women in front of him had already been conquered by his handsomeness. Look at their smiles, I can tell that they are itching to have a night with me. Of course. Qing Yutong smiled tenderly. Last time I put on a show with Yi Zizi, what am I going to do today? When Yi Hong saw that the three men actually sat down, his entire body didn't feel good. Big brother, didn't you say? LV Liang was in disbelief as well. He completely didn't know that Qing Yutong only wanted to bring along her injured friend to relieve her stress. What should we do, big brother? Yi Hong asked anxiously. My wife is going to be taken away tonight, I don't want to be cuckolded like big brother. LV Liang said gravely, Yi Hong. Don't worry, big brother won't let you walk down the same path as me. Yi Hong, let's go, big brother will bring you to smash the place. LV Liang pulled onto his little brother and walked towards the second floor. On the second floor, Brett and Zishan looked at the three men and clenched their small fists tightly under the table. As expected, men aren't good things. Where are the three big brothers from? Qing Yutong signaled to Brett and Zishan to calm down, the show has only just begun. Just as Feng Di was about to speak, a voice suddenly rang out. Damn you, why are you here? LV Liang could be seen walking over while swaying her buttocks, then actually sat on Feng Di's thigh. As for Yi Hong, he secretly took a look at his wife and he was a bit hesitant, but he still sat on the other side of Feng Di. Everyone present was stupefied. Especially Feng Di, what is going on? However, when he saw the two women who came over, his brows wrinkled. Aren't they our target? One green and one red beauty. Aren't they women who have the purest blood in their bodies? They shouldn't be acting so coquettishly, could it be that the information we received was wrong? The green and red brothers' incarnations were cast by Wei Chang, and the three women were completely unable to see through the true bodies of the two sisters. However, this green and red made the three women think of the green and red brothers. There was no helping it, that color was too eye-catching and it could be seen everywhere. As for the traffic lights, they had seen quite a few of them just now. Right now, Feng Di already felt that the information he received was wrong. These green and red sisters are definitely not people who have the purest blood in their bodies. However, being able to bring these three women back is also a good thing, this trip was not made in vain. Ladies, please be a bit more respectful, I don't know the two of you. Feng Di said coldly. Don't disturb me from flirting with girls. LV Lu said, Big brother, we even met last night, how did we not know each other so quickly? Yi Hong also wanted to show off, but when he saw Zishan, he immediately became terrified. Meanwhile, Zishan's brows were tightly wrinkled. These two women are giving me a very familiar feeling. Too familiar? That's right. It's their clothes. They are actually the same style as me. Back then, I bought them but didn't wear them. It can't be such a coincidence, right? These two women are wearing the clothes that I bought before. Zishan secretly took a look at the shoes that the two women were wearing, and her expression immediately sunk. Those two pairs of high heels are mine as well. I'm certain of this, because there is a scratch on one of the heels. Although it is not very obvious, it is not something that can escape Zishan's eyes. The one with the green hair is definitely Big Brother. The one who is sitting silently at the side is definitely my husband. I would recognize him even if he turned into ashes. Because my husband is always like this, especially when he sees me, he would always give off the feeling that he doesn't dare to look at me, as if he is scared to death. Chapter 502. Not right. This is no longer a man dressing up as a woman. He clearly used some sort of method to turn into a woman. These two perverts. This is definitely Big Brother's idea. My Yi Hong definitely wouldn't do such a thing, he definitely regrets saying that to me, and then under Big Brother's instigation he used this sort of method to reduce his stress. LV Liang's mind was successfully filled in by Zishan. Not right. The two of them wouldn't go to the extent of becoming women to relieve stress. If they wanted to relieve stress, they would go and become a big sword or something. That's right. My lord's mission. Could it be that the two of them became like this for the sake of doing a mission? And then they coincidentally saw that I came and couldn't help but come over to create trouble? That should be the case. This bastard even said that he wants to divorce me, shameless, stinky man. Feng Di was already very annoyed. If not for there being too many people here, he would definitely have slapped the two women away. If the two of you continue to be like this, I won't be polite anymore. Feng Di gave his final warning, hurry up and scram. I don't know what's going on with this information, but it actually said that the two of them have purest blood, which means that they are nightclub girls. Just as LV Liang was about to speak, Zishan suddenly stood up. Big brother, this place is too noisy, let's go to another place. Zishan's actions caused Qingya and Brett to go into a daze. It's good that we go to another place. This green and red scene is truly vexing. It is truly throwing away the face of women. LV Liang and Yihong's hearts sunk, especially Yihong. I feel that my heart is about to break. My wife is actually going to get a room with this man. Feng Di was delighted in his heart, and he hurriedly pushed away the two women who were on him and said with a smile, I do know a quiet place we can sit down and have a chat. Qing Yutong smiled, that would be for the best, let's go then. Ladies first. Feng Di revealed out a handsome smile. I didn't expect that these three women would be so easily hooked as expected of King Yen. The three women stood up with confident smiles on their faces, while the two sisters had stupefied looks on their faces. What is this situation? LV Liang hurriedly held on to Feng Di and said with a tender smile, Big brother, bring us along as well. Scram. Feng Di shouted out coldly. Although the two of you look good, your temperament is too lacking, and you are completely not on the same level as these three women. A man in a suit came to Feng Di and whispered, Big brother, can you let us play with them? The little brother knew that he definitely wouldn't be able to find a high-quality beauty, but these two women were still not bad. Although their temperament was a bit lacking, their faces and figures were still not bad. It was just that they were a bit coquettish. Feng Di thought for a moment and said, I think you guys should be more careful. Clean up the mess afterward. Yes. Come with me, the man in the suit said to the green and red sisters. LV Tao and Yihong were exulted. As long as we are able to openly follow his honor sister-in-law and Zishan, it would be great. When the men in the nightclub saw the 5 beautiful young ladies leaving with the 3 men, they felt a burst of pity. All the good cabbages were taken by pigs. Feng Di drove the Land Rover and brought Qing Yutong and the other 2 girls away first, while his 2 subordinates took a taxi and brought the green and red sisters with them. On the way to the hotel, Yihong appeared to be very restless. Her Zishan had actually willingly gone to get a room with someone else. LV Tao patted on the back of the little brother's hand to comfort him. Being cuckolded is indeed very painful, but as long as one experiences it, one would get used to it. LV Tao sighed. I didn't expect that we brothers would end up being cuckolded. This is the true meaning of life. In the future, this little brother should be able to dye himself green and constantly remind himself not to forget the matter of being cuckolded. I have to be vigilant towards women because when you are not paying attention, they will put on you a colored hat. This was also the reason why LV Tao wasn't willing to accept the blood clan sisters for so long. The matter of race did indeed play a part in it, but the matter of being cuckolded was a huge part in it. Everyone arrived downstairs of the gym. Big brother, where are we going? Qing Yutong asked curiously. Meanwhile, Brett and Zishan were already prepared to open the door. Other than his honor, there isn't a single man in this world that is good. In actuality, his honor is also a liar. Feng Di smiled mysteriously, I will bring you guys to a good place. At this moment, the green and red sisters got off the car. When Yihong saw that his wife was still around, he felt relieved. They didn't directly go to get a room. The few of them went upstairs together. It was already 11 p.m. and the gym was already closed. When everyone arrived at the gym, they were very confused. Little brother, are you bringing us to the gym? Qing Yutong asked curiously. This is truly a weirdo. Other people would always bring someone to a gym to get drunk, and this is the first time I've seen someone bring someone to a gym. Feng Di switched on all the lights and smiled. Do you want to try? The machines here are all international standards. His elder brother, Feng Tian, should be cultivating at this time, so he shouldn't disturb him. Brett said in a deep voice, since it's boring, let's give it a try. Actually, the 3 women all felt that this Feng Di had some strength, so they wanted to see what he was up to. Perhaps they would encounter something interesting. LV Liang and Yihong had the same feeling. This gym was a little weird. LV Liang felt that the syringe in her chest was a little strange. She quietly hid to the side and reached into her chest to take out the syringe. The purest blood was boiling like boiling water. Based on his many years of watching Hong Kong movies, there must be something calling for the purest blood. Suddenly, the pure blood in the syringe calmed down, which made LV Liang a little confused. LV Liang immediately transmitted his voice to his underling. I found something. Yihong was a little lost in thought as she looked at Zishan's back, to the point where she didn't even notice that her elder brother was calling for her. Yihong. What's the matter, big brother? Yihong hurriedly replied. We should have found the right place. If my feeling isn't wrong, this place should be the nest of that group of people. Isn't that Zishan in danger? LV Liang really wanted to knock on his underling's head. Your wife is so powerful, what the hell are you worried about? Yi Hong also realized that she was worrying too much, so she asked, then what should we do now? Our mission is to deliver the goods to their doorstep. Since we know the location, it will be much easier. We can directly send the goods over another day. But Zishan and the others are here as well. If it really is that group of people, wouldn't they be scared away? At that time we will have to look for them again. His underling's words caused LV Liang's expression to darken. The mission that originally had some clues became troublesome because of their arrival. What should we do? Yi Hong, it's up to you now. LV Liang said gravely. What do you mean? Get Zishan to cooperate with us. LV Liang already had a script in her mind. Yi Hong immediately became speechless. I just quarreled with my wife, and it's the kind that doesn't speak. It has only been a few days and I already have to beg my wife. Chapter 503. Seeing that her little brother was not moving, Lulu said in a deep voice, what are you waiting for? Beg for mercy, go back and kneel on the keyboard and you'll be a man again. Big brother, but I can't say it out loud. Yi Hong's heart was also very complicated. I was so awesome that day. A loud shout was a divorce. He had never been so domineering in his life. It had only been a few days and now he had to ask his wife to cooperate with him. Wasn't that even more unmanly? LV Liang knew what her little brother was thinking and advised, Yi Hong, don't think about a man's dignity anymore. In front of your wife, just rub your dignity on the ground and be a bootlicker in the future. Big brother has high hopes for you. Yi Hong was speechless. Speaking of which, it is fine for me to be a bootlicker for my wife, but forget it, I'll just lick it then. Hee, aren't you willing to have a large number of men to become Zishan's bootlicker? You don't know how lucky you are. After taking a deep breath, Yi Hong sent a voice transmission to Zishan. Zishan. After saying that, Yi Hong waited for the other party's reply. He also observed his wife's every move, but there didn't seem to be any reaction. Honey? Yi Hong called again. Who said you're my wife? Get lost. Zishan coldly replied. Now, you know how to beg for forgiveness? That night, weren't you very awesome and domineering? Other than bullying your wife, who else would you bully? Thinking about this, Zishan felt so wrong that she wanted to die. When Yi Hong heard that her wife had told her to get lost, her heart sank and she didn't say anything more. What's going on? Did he say anything? LV Liang asked curiously. Zishan told me to scram. Yi Hong muttered. When she heard Zishan telling her to scram, Yi Hong felt a dull pain in her heart. Is Zishan so disgusted with me now? LV Shu felt that it was time for her to save herself. Little brother is no longer reliable, I can only seek help from his honor's sister-in-law. What should I call her? Madam, Lulu sent a sound transmission to Qing Yutong, and with a flattering tone, she said. Qing Yutong, who was not far away, went into a daze. There is actually someone who called me Madam. Seems like that person is an acquaintance. Who is it? It's me, LV Liang. So it's Xiao Lu, where is it? Qing Yutong asked curiously. LV Liang was a little embarrassed. Those two women are us. F***K, you two sure have a heavy taste, to actually transform into women to play. Qing Yutong turned her head around and took a look at the green and red sisters, and the corner of her mouth slightly twitched. Dear madam, aren't I carrying out his honor's orders? These people are the people that his honor has been looking for during this period of time. We need to give them the things that we wanted. Oh, so you're here to deliver something for brother-in-law? If there's anything you need help with, just say it. Qing Yutong's mood was very good. This Lu Shu's mouth is rather sweet, calling me madam over and over again, causing Qing Yutong to be endlessly happy. LV Liang explained his idea to Qing Yutong and the other two girls, and hoped that Qing Yutong and the other two girls would slightly cooperate with him. Actually, he wanted to say, don't cause trouble. It's not easy for us brothers to take on a mission, and we don't want it to fail. This is related to my image in his honor's mind. After hearing what Qing Yutong said, Qing Yutong immediately agreed. So there's something more interesting than teaching a stinky man a lesson. Qing Yutong immediately told Brett and Zishan to cooperate with his honor later on. No matter what, Qing Yutong is his honor's sister-in-law, Brett and Zishan will naturally listen to his honor's words. Besides, this is also his honor's mission. They don't want to be taught a lesson by his honor again. Zishan secretly took a look at Yi Hong, and upon discovering that Yi Hong didn't continue looking for her, Zishan became very angry. You are clearly the one who did the wrong thing. What's wrong with coaxing you a little? Zishan had somewhat underestimated Yi Hong's degree of mental fragility. To a person who doesn't have confidence in himself, your slip of the tongue might be able to completely kill him. Just like when Yi Hong told Zishan to scram just now, Yi Hong took it seriously. If it was another man, Zishan might have continued to coax Yi Hong shamelessly. Husband and wife quarreling is like this, there will always be one who is afraid. This isn't ugly, the one who is afraid is the one who is wise. The two of you come over. The suited underling at the side was prepared to pull the green and red sisters over. LV Liang began resisting weakly. What are you two doing? Yi Hong, who was at the side, was the same as well. She knew that this was a crucial moment and she couldn't let her guard down. Save me. Feng Di turned his head around and took a look and didn't take it seriously at all. Meanwhile, Qin Yutong and the other two women revealed expressions of doubt and fear. From the looks of it, all three of them are experts in acting. At the very least, in Feng Di's eyes, their reaction was very normal. What are you two doing? Qin Yutong and the other two women revealed expressions of fear as they leaned against each other. Feng Di laughed lightly. It's nothing, you two don't have to be afraid because in a while, it will be your turn. You are a bad person. Brett pointed at Feng Di and scolded. Brett's acting was a little stiff after all, Brett's acting was not mature enough yet. Feng Di stretched out his hand and lightly stroked the barbell, then said faintly, that's right, I am a bad person and I am the super bad kind. In actuality, right now, the three women really wanted to say, what a coincidence, we are also super bad. Zishan, who was acting as a weak girl, was already shivering in fear. On the other hand, the green and red sisters were still powerlessly struggling at the side. LV Liang's body was a little big. Why is she doing this? Because she wants to squeeze out the syringe from the center of her chest. However, the syringe seems to be stuck. After all, my chest muscles are too big. There's no other way, I can only beat it out. But when LV Liang was struggling, he accidentally hit his own chest, causing Yi Hong to feel a wave of pain. Big brother, that slap of yours is too heavy. However, a white syringe flew out from LV Liang's cleavage, attracting everyone's gaze. Looking at the syringe that fell out from LV Liang's cleavage, the two brothers felt that they had finally completed the task that his honor gave them. The syringe fell onto the ground and lightly rolled on the ground, and the inside of the syringe was completely red. However, this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that there were still words stuck on the syringe. Purest blood. These words were written on the syringe as if they were afraid that others wouldn't know about it. The three women also saw it. Aren't you two brothers a bit too sloppy to actually still have words stuck on the syringe? At this moment, Qin Yutong suddenly cried out in surprise, what is this? There are actually words on the syringe. Purest blood? What is this? Zishan said fearfully, I don't know, it should be human blood. Purest blood is definitely pure blood. Brett's words were still as stiff as before. Feng Di tightly wrinkled his brows, then stretched out his palm. The syringe that was on the ground fell onto Feng Di's hand. Looking at the three big words on the syringe, Feng Di's doubt became even deeper. Chapter 504. Even though the green and red sisters had tossed out the purest blood, Feng Di still didn't believe that they were the ones who possessed the purest blood. Perhaps they had obtained it from somewhere else. From this, it could be seen just how terrible of a persona the two brothers had created. Looking at the purest blood in his hand, Feng Di thought that the information might be correct. They were the possessors, not the possessors. But where did they get it from? Who cares? As long as it was pure blood, it would be fine. Watch them. Feng Di said coldly. Yes. More than 10 men in suits walked out from each door and surrounded the 5 women. The 5 women were so scared that they were shivering. However, right now the two brothers could finally breathe out a sigh of relief. We have finally completed the mission given to us by his honor. Just that, how are we going to get out of this situation perfectly is a problem. Qin Yutong contacted LV Liang and asked, have you guys completed your mission? Yes, thank you for your cooperation, madam. LV Shu was very grateful. You are too polite. From now on, all of you will cooperate with me. Qin Yutong really wanted to see what that person was going to do with the purest blood. What else could LV Shu say? Of course she agreed. After knowing that Yi Hong had completed his mission, Zishan heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Hong doesn't have to die to atone for his crime. What a fool. On the other side, Feng Di held the labeled purest blood in his hand and knocked on the door. Come in. Feng Tian's deep voice came from inside. Feng Di pushed open the door respectfully and saw his big brother sitting cross-legged. The aura he emitted was getting stronger and stronger. Congratulations, big brother. Feng Tian opened his eyes. The golden pupils under the mask were even more bewitching, sending chills down one's spine. Do you have any leads on the item? Feng Tian stood up and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Feng Di presented the syringe with both hands. Feng Tian saw the 4 words on the syringe and he was confused. This is the purest blood? Wasn't the packaging a little too sloppy? This was simply a waste of a heavenly treasure. Feng Tian took the syringe and instantly felt the thirst from the blood disc. The blood in the syringe started to boil, and seeing this reaction, Feng Di revealed a look of shock. Who would have thought that this was truly pure blood? After putting away the syringe, Feng Tian asked, "How did you get it?" "Big brother, if I said that it fell out of a beautiful woman's chest, would you believe me?" Feng Tian's eyes turned cold and Feng Di immediately told him what had happened. "I'll go out and take a look. You go and arrange the ceremony. There can't be any mistakes." "Yes." Feng Tian's expression was solemn, as if he wasn't happy about the birth of the blood demon. He slowly walked towards the hall of the gym. When he saw the green and red color in Feng Di's mouth, Feng Tian had a thought. How could such a woman have pure blood? Wasn't this nonsense? As for the other 3, they looked like them. However, these 5 women were quite good-looking. He could play with them after the matter was settled. "Take them away." Feng Tian shouted coldly. "Yes." The 5 delicate girls were mercilessly kidnapped by the bad guys, and the 2 brothers only wanted to go back and report on their mission, while Qing Yutong only wanted to see what they were going to do, and Brett only wanted to kill all of the men in front of him. Zishan only wanted Yi Hong to go home and kneel on the keyboard. After that, Zishan would tell Yi Hong that he was wrong and that he would never dare to do it again. These people probably didn't know that their captives were happily discussing what was about to happen. At the northern suburbs of Long City, there was an abandoned factory. Weeds were already growing all over the place, and the broken chimney seemed like it was going to collapse at any moment. From time to time, the sound of water droplets would ring out, and the sound of water droplets would ring out. And in the depths of the factory, 10 black-clothed men could be seen sitting cross-legged, and Feng Di was among them. At the center of the black-clothed men was a huge and strange rune that was flickering with a faint blood-red light. And Qing Yutong and the other 4 were tied up by a thick and big rope not far away from them. "I feel like they are summoning something," Brett said indifferently, appearing to be very relaxed. "Are they summoning Ultraman?" Qing Yutong asked curiously. LV Lu said gravely, "They might be summoning Godzilla." Yi Hong and Zishan didn't speak, they were still in the midst of quarreling. After all, they wouldn't pay attention to each other when quarreling. Suddenly, those black-clothed men began to mutter something, the kind that sounded pretty good, as if they were purging something. The formation began to emit a strange aura. Brett wrinkled his brows, then laughed lightly and said, "Seems like it isn't that simple of a summon?" "Brett, what do you mean by this?" Qing Yutong asked curiously. Brett had a lot of battle experience and he was very familiar with the aura emitted by the formation. Summoning the thing that is sealed would definitely require a buff formation, and this formation is the opposite. It is a weakening formation. Brett explained. Qing Yutong immediately understood, then looked at the black-clothed men that were not far away from them. Are they planning to get rid of the thing that was summoned? Even if they aren't planning to get rid of the thing, they have other intentions. Brett said faintly. Hearing what Brett said, the 5 black-clothed men immediately became interested. Qing Yutong pursed her lips. It doesn't seem good to be watching a show without any melon seeds to drink, right? What you said makes sense. Right now, Brett was a bit led astray by Qing Yutong. Xiaolu, go and buy it, remember to buy a few packets of spicy gluten. Qing Yutong instructed. The corner of LV Lu's mouth twitched. That's not good, right? We are all tied up. I will send you a mirror image, go and return quickly. Brett said faintly. As an elf, he knew a lot of simple magic, but he didn't know as much as his honor. What else could LV Lu Liang do? We are just lacking a small bench. Right when LV Lu Liang left, Feng Tian, who was sitting cross-legged at the center, finally moved. A blood plate could be seen on his right hand, and a needle tube could be seen on his left hand. When the 2 items appeared at the same time, the red glow on the blood plate immediately increased greatly, and the needle tube immediately broke apart. However, the pure blood did not fall onto the ground, and instead, it floated in the air as if it was a living thing. Feng Tian placed the blood plate at the center of the blood plate, then bent his body and took a few steps back. A stream of spiritual energy shot into the blood plate from his finger, and a vicious aura immediately soared into the sky, and the pure blood began trembling, as if it was frightened to the point that it was unable to move. Gotcha. The blood plate immediately opened outwards, and it seemed as if some kind of treasure was going to appear from within. However, there wasn't any treasure at all. After the blood plate opened up, the inside of the blood plate was completely red, as if it was an ocean of blood. Oh, suddenly, a head that was formed from blood broke out from the blood plate and pounced towards the pure blood along with a chilly wind. Soon after, the head swallowed the pure blood that was frightened to the point that it didn't dare to move. The gigantic blood head seemed as if it had eaten the most delicious food in the world, and it actually let out a satisfied gasp. Then after a short while, the blood head shrunk back into the blood plate. At this time, LV Lu Liang rushed back while carrying a red plastic bag. Melon seeds, peanuts, and all sorts of other things were not missing. Chapter 505. Qing Yutong tore open the spicy strip and said with a smile, "No, I just got one." "That's good." LV Shu tied herself up again and stared at the scene that was filled with a strange aura. So oppressive. It is indeed very oppressive, especially when she saw the snacks in the red plastic bag at the side. It became even more oppressive. The blood plate suddenly emitted out a layer of dense blood mist, but there wasn't a lot of blood mist. Moreover, after the blood mist appeared, cracks appeared on the surface of the blood plate, and soon after, the blood plate shattered, and the crisp body of the blood plate was just like a potato chip that Qing Yutong had bitten off. Crunch crunch. The four turned their heads and looked at Qing Yutong, who was currently eating chips. Qing Yutong smiled awkwardly. "It is already midnight, it is normal to be a little hungry." "Yutong, the atmosphere has been ruined by you," Brett said in a low voice. Qing Yutong blinked her beautiful eyes. "Ruined atmosphere?" LV Shu held onto her chin and muttered, "If those people were to hear this, I really don't know what kind of reaction they would have." "Sisters, let's eat while watching. This Wangzai milk is mine." Qing Yutong immediately took away the Wangzai milk. Brett said faintly, "I will take the Nutrition Express then." The atmosphere was a little strange. Brett was completely unaware of it. He opened the bottle cap and took a small sip, and an unknown white liquid could be seen on the corner of his mouth. Look, that blood mist has turned into Ultraman." Qing Yutong hurriedly cried out in surprise. At the scene, that blood mist could be seen gradually forming into a human shape, and not long later, a handsome man appeared. He had a high-nosed bridge, a face that seemed as if it was carved by a knife, and his melancholy gaze was simply a lady killer. He was wearing a blood-red robe that had black patterns on it, and his white hair was scattered behind his back, slowly fluttering in the wind. "So handsome," Qing Yutong said. Brett nodded his head. Zishan also followed up and said, "He is indeed very handsome." Yihang almost felt like he was going to bleed. So it turns out that Zishan likes handsome men. This point can't be changed no matter what. LV Shu patted on her little brother's shoulder. "You will never be that handsome in this lifetime. He looks like a cosplay big brother." He even added cosmetic contact lenses, beautifying and filtering functions. Qing Yutong smiled. "Big sister, he's a blood demon who's going to bring disaster to the world. He's not some little big brother, and he doesn't even know how to wear contact lenses. Can't he be a qualified captive?" Seeing the birth of the blood demon, Feng Tian was extremely emotional. He immediately knelt down and kowtowed. "Long live the blood demon." Blood demon was silent for a moment. His whole body was covered in a haze. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This is the feeling of being reborn. Ah. Feeling the power in his hand, the blood demon looked up at the sky and flicked his index finger. A red speck of light floated towards the huge chimney. When it came into contact with it, the chimney seemed to be corroded. It decreased at a speed visible to the naked eye and then disappeared. "All hail the blood demon!" Feng Tian and the others shouted in unison. Qing Yutong, who was drinking Wangzai milk, said faintly, "Praising a chimney and you call it mighty? This mighty thing is really worthless." Everyone couldn't help but nod. This destructive power was too weak. The blood demon put his hands into his sleeves and looked at the man lying on the ground. He said in a cold voice, "Is this a greeting gift?" Feng Tian, who had his head lowered, was shocked. He didn't expect to be discovered. As expected of the blood demon. Even after breaking the seal, he is still so powerful. He immediately gestured to Feng Di, and the magic formation under the blood demon's feet was activated. Instantly, the red light intensified and Feng Tian, who was lying on the ground, slowly stood up. His black and gold eyes stared at the blood demon in front of him. The blood demon slightly narrowed his eyes and felt the might emitted by the formation. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. No matter what, I still have to thank you for releasing me. Blood demon, submit to me. I can lead you to conquer this world. Feng Tian clenched his fists tightly and stared at the blood demon as he spoke boldly. The blood demon laughed lightly and slowly spat out, "Ignorant human, I, the blood demon, have never lowered my head to anyone or anything. If you kneel down and submit to me now, I will spare your life on the account that you released me." It seems like we both want to be the boss. Golden radiance suddenly condensed on Feng Tian's hands. Looking at it from afar, it looked like golden gloves. Looking at the weapon that Feng Tian released, the blood demon said faintly, "I didn't expect an ordinary human like you to have an immature ancient godly item. It is enough to deal with you now." The blood demon's lips curled into a cold smile. "It took me a lot of effort to break the seal. However, you know nothing about my strength." Boom. As soon as the blood demon finished his words, a majestic bloody aura gushed out from the blood demon's robe. Like raging waves, it swallowed the surrounding men in suits instantly. The bloody aura wrapped around the blood demon's body like jelly. After a long time, it crawled back into the blood demon's robe. The surrounding men in suits all bled from their 7 apertures and died. Only Feng Di still had a trace of aura. Seeing that his subordinate had died, Feng Tian did not stop him. Instead, he said faintly, as expected of the blood demon, "Even after breaking the seal, he is still so powerful." Of course. Otherwise, how could he have been sealed? What a pity. Feng Tian let out a long sigh and his golden eyes became even deeper. The blood demon was confused. "What's a pity?" "It's a pity that I want to tell you what you know about my strength. You know nothing about it." Ha 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 ha. Hearing that, the blood demon laughed wildly. It was as if he was laughing at the ants in front of him who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Qing Yutong, who was peeling peanuts, pouted her mouth. "These two sure know how to boast. That's right, look at how low profile I am." LV Liang laughed and squeezed out a piece of tofu skin. Brett snorted coldly, "Two insignificant ants are just boasting to each other." Qing Yutong squeezed out a piece of gluten and bit into it. "Don't talk about me like that, at the very least I am still very powerful, alright?" A fight between elementary school students. Zishan said. Yi Hong really wanted to refute, for example, ask elementary school students to fight like this, but he didn't dare to refute his wife. It was fortunate that the blood demon and Feng Tian didn't hear the conversation between the women. If not, they would definitely join hands to deal with Qing Yutong first. However, it seems like I won't be able to win against them either. A blood sword appeared in the hands of the blood demon. The entire sword looked as if it was flowing with blood. The blood demon raised his hand and lightly caressed the body of the sword, then said faintly, "This sword was forged using the blood of my clansmen. Although it cannot compare to a prehistoric godly item, it can still be considered to be a second-grade prehistoric godly item. The sword in my hands is the golden light glove, but if I add your blood and chi into it, it will become a true prehistoric godly item." Feng Tian stretched out both of his fists, and a terrifying aura was emitted out from the golden light glove, which actually condensed into a golden light and attacked towards the blood demon. Chapter 506. The golden light and the red light collided. Boom. The collision created a huge shockwave that swept across the area. The abandoned factory that was on the verge of collapse collapsed instantly. Dust flew everywhere. Qing Yutong and the others had no choice but to leave. They didn't want their clothes to be dirted. The 5 of them sat in the air and looked down. Felt good. The angle was just right. Luckily they were in the suburbs and it was an abandoned place. So they didn't cause any commotion. When the dust was blown away by the wind, Feng Tian and Blood Demon were standing in the ruins. Their bodies were glowing and they were easy to recognize. "Blood Demon, submit to me and offer your blood chi. You can have anything you want." Feng Tian wanted to use another method to obtain Blood Demon's blood chi. He didn't expect Blood Demon to be so powerful. His plan was wrong. Blood Demon waved the blood sword in his hand and said calmly, "I want your life now." Seems like there is no way to negotiate. That's right. Feng Tian took a deep breath and shouted. Spiritual energy erupted from his body. The broken stones on the ground floated up and the ground started to tremble. This was just the aura he released. Blood Demon didn't want to be outdone. His body shook. Blood chi was released from his body. It was filled with ghostly wails and wolf howls, making people feel pressured. Actually, Feng Tian's guess was right. This wasn't Blood Demon's true strength. After being sealed for so long, he was already very weak. It would take a long time for him to recover. Now he was just forcefully holding on. Although he was forcefully holding on, he could still fight against Feng Tian. This showed how powerful he was when he wasn't sealed. Unfortunately, he was sealed before he could harm the world. Feng Tian roared in anger as he punched out with his golden fist. His speed was extremely fast as a wave of qi swept across the area, shaking the heavens and the earth. This was just a simple punch, but it was able to create such a strong pressure. It was all because of the golden light set in his hand. Blood Demon's eyes narrowed. His body was weak now. Escaping was the best option. However, this was his first battle. How could he escape? A strong cultivator naturally had his own pride. Even if he knew he was going to die, he would still fight to the end. He placed the blood sword in front of his chest. The dazzling golden fist immediately smashed onto the blood sword, producing a dazzling circular vibration wave. It was a beautiful sight. The Blood Demon actually took a step back, his right foot sinking deep into the ground. Divine Fist. A terrifying aura appeared on Feng Tian's right hand. He didn't expect it to be so easy to get close to him. This Blood Demon was really arrogant. The dazzling golden light illuminated the entire sky and blasted towards the Blood Demon with a destructive force. The Blood Demon furrowed his brows and once again placed the blood sword in front of his chest. Boom. Suddenly, the Blood Demon's body slid back more than 10 meters, leaving a deep groove in the ground. It was truly terrifying. Blood Demon. If you submit to me now, you still have a chance to live. Feng Tian twisted his shoulders and his hands opened and closed. Golden light flourished, and the more he fought, the more imposing he became. Really? Feng Tian's eyes widened because the voice came from behind him. He didn't have time to think and immediately pulled away. Instantly, he felt a sharp pain on his shoulder. The blood sword was like a baby, greedily sucking the blood. The Blood Demon looked at Feng Tian, who was pulling away. I told you. You don't know my strength at all. Even though I'm weak right now, you're still not my match. Feng Tian looked at the wound on his arm. He didn't expect the Blood Demon to be so fast. How infuriating. Feng Tian had the advantage of weapons, but the Blood Demon wasn't someone to be trifled with. This was a man who said that he would bring disaster to the world. If he didn't have some skills, he wouldn't dare to say such arrogant words. Blood Demon, don't force me. Feng Tian shouted in a deep voice. So what if I force you? Feng Tian's expression changed drastically. The Blood Demon was clearly in front of him, but the voice came from behind him. He didn't have time to think and dodged hurriedly. Instantly, he felt a sharp pain on his thigh. The Blood Demon stuck out his scarlet tongue and licked the blood on his sword. I will stab you to death, one stab at a time. Feng Tian panted heavily. This Blood Demon was indeed powerful. As expected of a sealed character. He had thought too little of him. Blood Demon, I will give you another chance. If you submit to me now, you might still have a chance to live. Feng Tian shouted in a deep voice, and his golden eyes started to spin. Human. Your shameless words will cause you to die a painful death. Feng Tian heaved a sigh of relief and the golden light set in his hand disappeared. The Blood Demon chuckled when he saw Feng Tian's actions. What? Not fighting anymore? Feng Tian stared at the Blood Demon and removed his mask with his right hand. No. I have already given you a chance. You didn't cherish it. The mask fell to the ground slowly. The left side of Feng Tian's face wasn't skin at all. Instead, it was golden like his eyes. It was very textured, as if his face was coated with a layer of gold oil. However, the Blood Demon didn't find it funny. Because he couldn't see through Feng Tian the moment he removed his mask. This caused the Blood Demon's heart to sink. After removing his mask, Feng Tian didn't move at all. This caused the Blood Demon to feel a sense of pressure. He who attacked first had the upper hand. The Blood Demon used his insane speed again and instantly appeared behind Feng Tian. He swung his sword. However, the Blood Demon's eyes widened in disbelief as he watched his opponent grab his blood sword. How was this possible? While Blood Demon was distracted for a moment, a fist came at him with an ear-piercing sound. The speed was so fast that even Blood Demon could not react in time. His left cheek caught the other party's fist, and his body was sent flying like a cannonball, crashing into the ruins. Qing Yutong, who was eating melon seeds in the air, had a dumbfounded look on her face. What's going on? He suddenly rose to power? He was beaten up badly just now. Zishan said in a deep voice. He should have used some kind of secret technique. It's not a secret technique. It's just that his mask is suppressing his own power. However, from the looks of it now, it's as though he's a completely different person. Maybe he's a completely different person before and after the mask, Brett speculated. He had seen this phenomenon before. LV Liang drank her Pepsi and mumbled, "That blood demon is going to be in big trouble." It had to be said that the blood demon was indeed very unlucky. Back then he had vowed to bring disaster to the common people. In the end he was sealed by a group of people before he could even step out of his house. So many years had passed and he had just come out when he met someone with ulterior motives. Moreover, his strength was so strong. In actuality, the blood demon shouldn't be called the blood demon, he should be called the misfortune demon. Feng Tian, who was in the middle of the battlefield, suddenly let out an eerie laughter. "Useless fellow. You still want me to come and help you, trash?" After saying that, he shot out and dived into the ruins. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.